have to do that.
Shot a 95. You got the mic?
It wasn't. Oh,
Mine.
I saw you clip it some. I have every audio piece except for the 17 one from noon. Is that the one you?
Yeah, the lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll keep looking for that. But
Yeah.
They haven't released it yet.
Yeah,
Usually
okay.
don't until about 3 or 4.
All right. That's not a big deal. What is that? The Hernandez thing?
Oh yeah. Yes.
I may not even talk about that, especially because I
got kicked down.
Yeah, exactly. That's why exactly. Put it in there before the decision was made. There was no decision made.
Right.
So it's yeah.
Call 800-741-4653 now. That's 800-741-GOLD. From the KERN newsroom, yours live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. A person hit and killed this morning. I'm Chris Davis. That happened at the intersection of South Union Avenue and Garden Drive, says Bakersfield PD. That they are still working on the report, so this is what you get from the cops for now. It happened shortly after 6:15, and the person who was hit has not been identified publicly. As far as how it happened, that info is then following the Maya Hernandez story, we're waiting to hear what her sentence will be on the trial involving a charge for last Monday. They have to wait longer. The court this morning said they have not reached a decision on that, nor have they reached a decision on whether she will be reached on her charge.
Soon. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, however you may be viewing. For those subscribing on YouTube, it's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we stream live at KERNradio.com, broadcasting live on YouTube. And you should be subscribing on YouTube today because I have never looked better. I haven't looked this good since last time I put on my tuxedo. It has arrived, Mr. Burdick.
It does
my
look
Christmas present.
It does look nice.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Where'd you find this one?
I can't remember.
I did notice that when you walked in, but it didn't really register until you started highlighting it right now.
For those who are ignorant enough not to get on YouTube to just see how pretty I am,
Sorry.
My Christmas, it's not that funny now. It wasn't that funny. Flores is in there on the ground laughing.
That was the funniest joke you said all year.
Raider/Dodger black hoodie has finally arrived. That's why I don't remember where I bought it, because I bought it in like early December.
Probably
right after like Thanksgiving.
I like those. I like when people can like take two logos and mash them together and
Yes.
make something more personalized for somebody.
Raiders Dodgers. Because I wouldn't just buy a Raider hoodie.
Oh no, but I mean,
Googly Moogly.
I can only imagine there are thousands of people or thousands of fans that are both Raiders and Dodger fans, though. So it's like you probably
absolutely.
one of many who picked that up.
Absolutely. Particularly in LA. But I'm in love with this thing. In fact, I'm wearing it tomorrow. I'm kidding. We had a great show for you this afternoon. We'll begin in just a minute with the passing of a legend. Irma Carson, I'm sure most of you are aware by now, passed away at the age of 90. We'll talk about her incredible career, the number of barriers she broke for Black people, Black women, and the legacy she has left. In fact, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to talk with Michael Bowers, who has known Irma his entire life. We'll talk with him. But the big story of the day, coming up at 4:30, Sheriff Donny Youngblood is going to join us. Mr. Flores had the brilliant idea of asking the sheriff, and he was the only one to do so, for the body cam video of what went down that day. I spoke with the sheriff and asked him about some of that video, and he started quoting some of the video, which shows Kathy Scrivener talking to her grandchildren. I'm making a mistake because I'm making a broad assumption that you all know exactly what I'm talking about, and you should never, ever do that. Kathy Scrivener was one of the first people on scene when Zach Scrivener allegedly, I don't even know how we put it now, because he was convicted of child endangerment, but you all know the story that he was in bed with his 11-year-old daughter, and then a fight ensued with his son, and a knife was involved, and he was wounded, and Cynthia Zimmer called Donny Youngblood. Donny Youngblood sent his deputies up there. The deputies did what they were supposed to do. As we reported exclusively when we spoke with the sheriff a week or two ago, Zach got on the phone with the sheriff and begged him to call his dogs off. Obviously, the sheriff absolutely refused. And I spoke with the sheriff, Donny Youngblood, and began quoting some of the video. And I simply asked him, can you come on and talk about that? And he says, I will, because Kathy Scrivener is calling my deputies a liar when she insists that she did not instruct her children, her grandchildren, not to cooperate with law enforcement. Mr. Youngblood, Sheriff Youngblood, is going to join us at 4:30 and refute that. And I believe he's going to quote some of the video. There's also sources tell me that Mr. Scrivener was instructed to wash his sheets and clip his nails down as far as he possibly could. That latter fact we have exclusively as well. And I think that is gargantuan. I'm speculating, obviously, maybe irresponsibly, but speculate I shall. To be instructed to chew down your nails to destroy DNA, I'll ask you, does that come from a citizen or does that come from somebody with experience in law enforcement? My guess, and it's pure speculation, that it's the latter. And when you are aware of his family ties, things get mighty hinky, if you know what I'm saying, without me having to say it. But we will talk with the sheriff at 4:30. And of course, if you can't hear the interview at 4:30, you can go back on YouTube later tonight and watch the entire interview. In just a matter of minutes, Jeet Singh is going to join us. There is some new revelations in terms of weight loss drugs. And in fact, I just got lucky after I booked Jeet, which we do every other Monday, so it's not really luck, but a coincidence. Vanessa Williams, 62-year-old former beauty queen and one of the most beautiful Black women I've ever met. So what does this mean, Chris, if you know your host? I'm gonna, no, well, that's true, but I'm gonna jump off the road for just a minute and tell my Vanessa Williams story.
Naturally.
You've never heard my Vanessa Williams story?
I'm sure I have, but
that's Chris's way. Of course, you've heard it 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, JR says 5 times.
Flores has heard. Are you kidding me? Over 10 years, he's heard it several times. I used to hang out at Love's Barbecue. When you're in love, the whole world's delicious. And I'm walking out. There's a little hallway that would lead out of Love's Barbecue on La Tierra and La Cienega in Los Angeles, right in between where I grew up in Ladera Heights and where I ended up living as a young adult in Inglewood. Great place, great food. Almost as good as Tony Roma's. And I see this light-skinned black woman with a scarf overhead on the payphone. And I do a double take, and it's Vanessa Williams. This is in the late 80s. I'm like 26, 27. So she's like, we're the same age. So she's in her late 20s. And there are two phones there. And so I'm like, I'm not leaving. And I pick up the phone and call my house just so I could. And I'm not really starstruck, but it's Vanessa Williams in her prime. And I call and put this 3-minute message on my own answering machine just so I could stand there. And I'll never forget, she's on the phone and she kind of looks to her right and she sees me. And my eyes must have been big as plates because she like not only turned her head, but like turned her entire back to me like, yeah, I got another one staring at me in the hallway. That's a Williams story. It's the only time I met her. And I didn't, and my phone would only record for like 2.5 minutes, so it hung up on me, and I couldn't pretend like I was going to make another phone call because I wanted to talk to her. Was the point? I wanted to just say I'm a fan, and it's very nice to meet you, and I'm going to be telling this story in about 30 years on my radio show. But no, she turned her back on her brother. But what are you going to do? And there's some miscellaneous news and notes we'll get to. Remember the murder story that I told you about on Friday with the dentist in Ohio and his wife and how they were mysteriously murdered in the middle of the night, and yet the 4- and 1-year-old were left unscathed. And I got it right and I got it wrong. I speculated, as I'm wont to do, because I got to check every 2 weeks, is that there was something lurid in one of their pasts. This wasn't a random shooting. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This was a targeted hit. I got that wrong. I mean, I kind of got it right. It was a targeted hit, but it didn't have anything to do with their lurid past, as I suggested. The thing that I did get right is the theme of the show. You cannot and will not get away with murder in the 21st century. It's just with the video surveillance and DNA, it is virtually impossible to get away with murder. And in fact, it was surveillance that helped them find her ex-husband. Get this, they had been divorced since 2017. They were married for 2 years. Was Monique Tepe, one of the victims, and her dentist husband, Spencer, who were murdered on December 30th in their home. She divorced Michael McKee in 2017. They'd been married for 2 years. 2017. And he now lives in Rockford, Illinois, where he was arraigned. He was extradited to Ohio. He will come back. He has waived his extradition rights and will come back and be arraigned also in Ohio. But no one can explain. It took you 8 years to get pissed? I mean, it's not funny, but it's bizarre that an estranged husband or a divorced husband would wait 8-9 years to exact his murderous revenge on his ex-wife. It's a bizarre story. And the fact that the suspected murderer, her late husband, because this girl marries well, was a vascular surgeon. It's a bizarre, bizarre story that we'll get into. And we got to talk about the NFL this past weekend. It was some good stuff, man. Good stuff. I blew off a dinner date to go to Mike Arrier's Green Bay party. You know why, right, Chris?
Because you missed out on the last one. I say missed out to be nice.
Yeah, I blew it off the last time and I couldn't. And everybody showed up. John Hatton was there, Chris Zucchini, Jack Church. He had a nice little group. Mikey V, James Tazi.
It's a hell of a game.
It was a hell of a game. It was a hell of a game. I was just going to say, it was a hard game to watch with one of my best friends, if not my single best friend, Mike Arieh, who was a former Green Bay Packer. He played for the Packers for a year or two in the National Football League back in the 80s. It was a tough beat for him. It really, really was. But we'll talk about the NFL. And there are a couple other things that are going on. Have you caught this Taryn Smith on Instagram? This crazy woman that is trying to row across the Atlantic?
I have not.
You haven't seen this video? Oh, it was all over the video this weekend.
This is a last-minute push to try to get on the Olympic team? What's going on here?
No, she's in day like 30, 31.
Oh, wow.
She's trying to cross the Atlantic in a rowboat. And she does like daily, like the one that caught my attention was the very first one that I saw where she was like, I'm just so happy to be alive. Last night was tough. The seas got rough and I had to batten down and the rowboat was going crazy. And it's a crazy story. And she's got all this kind of equipment inside. It's not, when I say rowboat, you get the sense of like this little, no, it's a pretty big rowboat. And she's got like equipment, like radar and sonar and all this kind of stuff to direct her, obviously. Yeah. But it's a crazy, crazy thing. And you know what my dad would say?
White people. I was going to say, I'm not going to lie to you. This is the first thing that popped in my head.
The Atlantic in a rowboat. Have you done gone crazy? And the other big story is the death of Jason Jimenez, an artist that I've never heard of, but the story is so gargantuan. We've got the audio of him predicting his own death. He's the Richie Valens of the 21st century. He talks about having several dreams of it being in a plane crash, and then one. And I was always told that physiologically you cannot dream of your own death. That's what I've always said. And I've had some scary dreams where I've been in plane crashes.
Yeah.
But it always stops before the crash. I've never been in a crash. I've never seen myself dead. And he claims that he did. And maybe but the other reason it's gone completely viral is there's absolute clean video of the plane crash and a ridiculous pilot error most likely caused the crash. And investigators are speculating because, again, this guy is a big-time artist, and he's got a videographer who was videoing them right before they left off, and in fact was videoing the pilot who, before the takeoff, was on his phone. And flight experts are saying there was a warning on the board, the dashboard, telling him not to fly. And they're insisting, and of course, this is the beginning of an investigation, but the fact that he was on his phone, he ignored the warning light, tried to take off, and the video shows the plane getting off maybe 50 feet off the ground and then just taking a hard left nosedive and exploding with all that gasoline in the flames. It's a horrible, horrible story. And another story today. We got two shows today. Timothy Busfield, a respected actor who married a girl that I went to high school with, Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie. You remember that he's a redheaded actor who was on 30-something for folks my age. I don't even think Chris remembers West Wing, but he was a reporter. He covered the White House in the series West Wing. You'd know him if you saw him. He's being accused of child molestation. And Melissa Gilbert they're insinuating that she may have, in fact, covered this up. We'll get into that, hopefully, if we have time. Got a busy broadcast, and we are extremely late. We'll come back and get this thing going. Jeet Singh at the bottom of the hour, Kathy Abernathy at 4 o'clock, and Sheriff Donny Youngblood at 4:30, and Michael Bowers at 5 on the life of Irma Parson. All that's coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's TRBS on a Monday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.
Best maker.
Right here.
And then you do know the Jimenez audio is all in Spanish, right?
No, not the one I sent you.
Both of them that you sent me were in Spanish.
No.
Swear to God.
To the person best qualified to comment on that, Lois Henry. We'll have the latest on the Zach Scribner petition. We'll have state-of-the-art news and traffic. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 90
That's why I said
and
use
AM
the second.
1180 KERN.
Every Thursday, Daniel Petrie, an important cog on this broadcast, appears at 4:30. Daniel Petrie with Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Daniel's role on this show is your free economic advisor. He comes on and will give you advice if you phone call, tell you where silver is, gold, where the discrepancy is in funds in terms of the government, and of course, talk about retirement. That's what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. If retirement is staring you dead in the mug like it is for me, call Daniel at 395-9400, 395-9400. And again, his office is located on the corner of 21st and Oak. Daniel Petrie, 4:30 Thursdays, right here on TRBS.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. Does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future, option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Inc., DBA Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast by us are prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
I'm here with Dr. Tarkesh from Affordable Dentures and Implants. Doc, people often think dental implants are a one-size-fits-all solution. How is Affordable Dentures and Implants different?
That's a great question. We know every patient is unique and each person has their own specific needs. So we create a personalized treatment plan designed just for them.
Wow. And what makes your process stand apart from the other places?
Well, we offer advanced digital dentistry, which let us design and create custom solutions. And with our on-site lab, we can offer same-day teeth for many patients.
I may not
no
even
waiting
get
for
to
weeks for your new smile.
Same-day teeth? Now that's impressive.
If
Well, that's what I
you're
said,
ready
'cause
to get started on your new
personal
smile
standard
today,
too.
go see Dr. Tarkesh and his amazing team at Affordable Dentures and Implants on the corner of Truxton and Coffee, next to Nothing But Cake. Call 831-7230 to schedule your appointment today.
Go ahead and smile.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph.
I guess. Played like a jerk.
Oh.
Just played like a jerk. Fortunately, we were playing teams. It was me and Zucchini versus Alan Corneo and his man, Don Mills. And I shot a 50 on the front after shooting a 44 a week or two ago. I played so badly. We were down 4 going to the turn. And I told Chris, I said, one of two things are going to happen. I'm either going to get my head out of my ass or I'll pay the bet. Because Chris played fine. I shot a 50. But then on the back, Alan Corneo, who's a stick, he's a player. He really is a good golfer. Just didn't play like Alan Corneo. And then I kind of got my head out of my butt. I played a little bit better on the back. But we ended up winning. But I just doing incredibly stupid things. Rolling wedges. Like really, after 30 years of golf, I'm rolling wedges? I just don't understand that. And you know what it was? I was nervous. Team play, it's like Ryder Cup. Team play is more nerve-wracking than play, because, here's Zucchini playing well and I'm holding him back.
Right.
We're playing for money. And,
Yeah, when it's just you can kind of just let it go because it's you.
Exactly. Apparently, Chris is not going to have back surgery. We thought he might have to have back surgery after carrying me for 18 holes. That's a golf joke. Forget it. But other than that, I had a great weekend. Went out Friday night, then went to Mike's party on Saturday, and then took him to Casey's Steakhouse to drown some sorrows. And then Sunday just did absolutely nothing but watch football. It was outstanding. It really was. Real quick, before we get to Dr. Jeet Singh, Maya Hernandez was expected to be sentenced today, but the DA's office has not made up its mind on whether or not they're going to, what is that, 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay. Whether or not they're going to charge her with involuntary manslaughter or try to retry her on murder charges. If you remember correctly, this happened in June, and a jury was hung on the murder charges. It was 9-3, 3 people in favor of charging her with murder, 9 believing it should be involuntary manslaughter. So no sentencing decision can be made until the DA's office figures out what they're going to do. I don't understand why they need more time. You've built the case. Are you going to find more evidence? Is there something going to break that we don't know about? I don't know. I don't know how those decisions are made, but we'll find out February 3rd what they intend to do. And there were protesters outside the home, including the maternal grandmother of the child, of the 1-year-old that died. She had two boys she left in the car back in June. And again, I'm making a rookie mistake for those that don't know what I'm talking about. This young girl's from Visalia. She came here for a butt lift right down the road here on Real Road. Left her 2 children in the car on a 104-degree day in June, was in there for 2 hours, never checked on the kids, thought that the car would continue to run for 2 hours with the AC. But in the 21st century, these cars shut off after an hour of inactivity. And the one boy, Emilio, died. The 2-year-old was a little bit stronger and survived. And now family members and others are calling for a murder charge, a retrial on murder. We'll find out February 3rd. Quick time out. We're off to Centric Health. We'll talk with Dr. Jeet Singh, Kathy Abernathy at 4, and be sure to tune in Donny Youngblood at 4:30.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With us on the news, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump says Iran wants to negotiate with the U.S. after his threat to strike the country over its crackdown on protesters. Activists said Monday the death toll in the demonstrations has risen to at least 599. Iran hasn't yet responded to Trump's comments. Trump and his teams are considering responses including cyber attacks and direct strikes. The state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul are suing the federal government to stop an enforcement surge by Immigration and Customs Enforcement following the fatal shooting of a Minneapolis woman by an ICE officer. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 86 points, the Nasdaq rose 62, the S&P advanced 11. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. A person who was walking near the intersection of South Union Avenue and Garden Drive was hit by a car and killed around 6:15 this morning, say Bakersfield police. That person's name has not been made public. A decision on whether Maya Hernandez will be retried on a murder charge in the hot car death of her son Emilio was supposed to be announced today, but it has been put off by the court with another hearing set for February 3rd. Hernandez was also supposed to be sentenced this morning on the child endangerment charge, which was not affected by her mistrial, but that sentencing was also put off for now. keeping a watch on the gas prices. The state average is now $4.15 per gallon of regular, says Gas Buddy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I was always tired, sleepy, and had no energy.
I had relentless, debilitating headaches.
Valley fever has many faces and impacts people differently. If you have a lingering cough, fever, or painful breathing for more than 2 weeks, talk to your doctor.
I am Quan Louie.
I am Bryn Kerrigan.
And we are the faces of Valley Fever.
Visit kernpublichealth.com to learn more.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, California is officially clear of drought status. And we will talk to the person best qualified to comment on that, Lois Henry. We'll have the latest on the Zach Scribner petition. We'll have state-of-the-art news and traffic. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
It's a Monday. Time to head to Centric Health and talk to the finest cardiologist in the land, Dr. Jeet Singh. How are you, Dr. J?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year, Ralph.
Happy New Year to you too, sir. How was your New Year? We haven't spoken since New Year.
New Year was amazing. I was celebrating with family in Kabul.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice.
They
Anytime
were
you...
asking about you. They were saying, how's Ralph doing? I said, BN.
Well, next time, take me with you. I can be a personal valet. I'll handle the luggage and all the reservations and be your personal assistant.
Yeah, you are in demand, man.
Yeah, right. Wanted to talk about weight loss drugs. I know we've talked about it, but there have been a couple of stories in the news. Vanessa Williams, a former beauty pageant at the age of 62, has come out and talked about how she is on Manjaro, and she says it's been an absolute game changer. But I want to talk beyond just the weight loss, because I heard a doctor on Fox today talk about the side effects, the positive side effects from that and Wegovy. He talked about how it adds insulin, it lowers your blood pressure, it can help with kidney issues and things of this nature. Is all this accurate? And is this the wave of the future?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a game changer medication because, as you are very well aware, and we have talked about it in the past, these are all group of GLP-1 agonists. And this group of medications have multiple benefits, what you call as positive side effects. And obviously, they were initially given to patients with high blood sugars, but then the indications for sleep apnea came up with Zepbound. And then there was obviously significant weight loss by reducing your hunger, slowing the gastric emptying. The positive effects were also noticed, and they're consistent with improving your cholesterol levels, your insulin resistance, even your triglycerides, which is one of the bad cholesterol.
Yeah. Lipid disorders, I heard as well.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is, but
lipid is a broad term which is used to, if you read a report anytime, you'll see it will mention your total cholesterol, LDL, your bad cholesterol, HDL, your good cholesterol. So there are a couple of different kind of cholesterol particles, and under the broad label known as lipid panel, they are classified in your blood report.
Okay.
So obviously, if you target all these things, you improve the risk of stroke, risk of heart attacks. So everything starts falling in place.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you lose weight, your arthritis will improve, your backache will improve. So obviously, weight loss is a significant factor in it, but overall, these drugs are very promising.
Yeah. As a cardiologist, do you subscribe to this since it has
Yes.
so many positive effects?
Absolutely. I have patients who could not even get on a stress test machine because they weighed more than what the stress test machine could bear.
So you're talking to one. I remember back in my fat days where at the very end, one of your assistants had to help me stay on the machine because I was done. I was about 260. And after about 8-9 minutes, she had to help me stay on the stress machine. It was that bad.
Yeah, so I had a lady who had a bad valve condition, and nobody wanted to operate on her for obvious reasons because the post-surgery recovery was challenged by her weight.
Yeah.
So for 2 years, I put her on Ozempic, and I used to give her samples. Sometimes the coverage won't be there. She lost 180 pounds on Ozempic therapy.
That's
And
incredible.
then last year, she underwent the valve replacement by myself.
Nice.
So these drugs have helped lower the surgical rates of gastric sleeve also. So why will you have a surgery if you can get where you want to be with weight loss medications?
Yeah. How is it distributed?
You mean by the insurance?
No, in terms of it's in a shot form, right?
Of course.
But now one of the news stories today is that I think either Wegovy or Manjaro are coming out with a pill form.
That's true.
Which is
I'm
another.
glad that you mentioned about it.
Yeah,
but
that's another game changer.
absolutely. This new GLP-1 is known as one is Rybelsus, which is an oral semaglutide, and it is indicated for type 2 diabetes. But now there are you will be surprised. There are 3 more GLP-1 oral medications which are in the pipeline,
Right.
and are awaiting the FDA approval.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
It's amazing.
It is. It's life changing. You saved that woman's life. You absolutely saved that woman's life. It's incredible.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Dr. Jeet Singh is our guest. The other obvious story is the widespread flu that is going on all over the nation and right here in Kern County. Have you seen an uptick in influenza cases?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. There is nobody I don't know or aware of, my patients. The flu test positivity rate actually in Kern County has been rising and is currently around 20%.
That's
Can you
incredible.
understand?
That's incredible. Any suggestions on how to try to stave it off?
Basic things that we did for
COVID.
hand washing, mask, keeping the hygiene, use some tissue paper or something to open the common toilets, common doors.
Yeah.
I mean, be exactly what we have done in the past.
Yeah. Because we talked about that during COVID, that people don't realize how dangerous influenza is just on its own.
Yeah, and get a flu shot. I mean, if there is so much of surge, I mean, just go for it.
Yeah. It's not too late to get a flu shot?
No.
Yeah.
It's a very chilly weather, and my God, this time I've seen so much of flu, and actually COVID too. I tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID is there.
I'll leave you with this. The other story that I saw was the battle over vaccinations. That there is a fight going on with Robert Kennedy, who I think should not be in the position that he is in the cabinet, over hepatitis A, hepatitis B, RSV, and Rota. Is that correct?
Rotavirus.
Rotavirus. Is that right? Okay. And that he is suggesting, at least he is suggesting, that you talk with your physician about this in terms of kids. But what do you suggest?
I mean, rotavirus is very infectious, and it really is a very important factor for mortality and morbidity in the young kids.
Yeah.
And if you look at the overall scenario, it will cause fluid loss, electrolytes, blood pressure problems. And there are approximately worldwide, maybe like 500,000 of kids died just because of rotavirus.
Yeah.
So it's very prevalent. Same thing, touching contaminated surfaces, unwashed hands, common toys, and where kids are together in the nursery, food prepared by infected hands. So basic hygiene is very important, even for kiddos.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing to do. And then if you find any alarming signs, all the family members should know if the child has not urinated for like 12 hours, they have dry mouth, sunken eyes, they have fast breathing or they're lethargic. These are dangerous dehydration symptoms. So child should be taken to the ER. And we have wonderful pediatric emergency centers now in the county.
Yeah.
Where the kids can be quickly attended.
Yeah. What about hepatitis A and hepatitis B?
Same thing. Hepatitis A is infectious.
Yeah.
So while B is obviously from blood transfusion or sexually transmitted. So these are nothing new. These things have been prevalent forever.
I know.
But the rate have decreased,
Yeah. It's just the you really need to talk to your physician. It's unfortunate that I'm in a position to say this, that I don't know if I'd rely on the government right now. I would rely on your physician. Do you agree with that?
Talk to the physicians, and we follow the guidelines, what we have gone to med school, and there is no blind faith that we go for.
Yeah.
So the laws can be made, but we go by case-to-case basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Always great to talk to you, Dr. J. Wait, hang on.
I'm sorry. We had a caller with a question for you, Dr. J.
Oh, hang on. We got a question for you.
They just would like to know how someone would go about getting those weight loss shots like Ozempic nowadays. Do they have to go through a doctor's referral? Can they go through their insurance? How do they actually go about getting their hands on it?
Great question.
The best way is to have a conversation with a doctor. What will happen is the primary care doctor will most of the time fail to get you the approval. But what they will do is they will act as a great channel for you to go to a specialist, whether it is a lung specialist for sleep apnea, whether it is diabetic to go to see an endocrinologist, or if it is a cardiac risk to go to a cardiologist just like me. So if you go through the right channel and the specialist document and provide the necessary stuff, it will be a battle with insurance company to just make it honest statement here, but we have been successful, like other specialists, to get it approved.
Yeah.
So, and nonetheless, we have samples and we share it with the patients. And I think every physician who thinks that it's a right medication or any other medication, it's basic ethics of a doctor to provide those medications to your patients.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you also need to be monitored on those medications. So starting is something similar to like testosterone, but somebody needs to monitor for pancreatic enzymes because the side effect is pancreatitis. So I'll suggest get it started and be very careful taking and following post starting these medications with your doctor.
Great advice, Dr. J. Always good to talk to you, sir. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon.
You too.
All right.
Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Dr. Jeet Singh. Oh, I forgot to tell him Bowers is coming on. Gummit. One of the hats Mr. Bowers works is he's vice president in charge of marketing and public relations and everything positive about Centric Health. We'll take a quick time out. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. And coming up at the top of the hour, Kathy Abernathy will join us as usual. 4:30, we'll talk with Sheriff Donny Youngblood. The sheriff insists that Kathy Scrivener did, in fact, tell her grandchildren not to cooperate with the police department. We'll talk with the sheriff at 4:30. And as I just mentioned, Michael Bowers will join us at 5:05 to talk about the life, legacy, and incredible career of Irma Carson, who passed away at the age of 90. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1180, KERN. We stream live at KernRadio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Oh, our favorite DUI gal got to spend her birthday in jail, and I couldn't be even more excited.
Really?
Miss Madison Williams, I hope you enjoyed your birthday in jail. I hope you enjoyed Christmas in jail. And I truly do hope, like you have claimed, to have found God. Please, please, get some help.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Adaptive Networks. Business owners, how many times have you called your IT company and felt like just another ticket number? Well, at Adaptive Networks, exceptional customer service isn't just the promise, it's how they do business every single day. And nobody knows that better than the folks here at American General Media, because they are a client of ours and we are a client of theirs. IT is incredibly important for a radio station. We can't depend on somebody saying, well, we'll be out there tomorrow, because all you hear is nothing. So it's do or die for us. That's why we depend on Adaptive Networks. And when you call, you'll actually talk to a real person who knows your name, understands your business, and genuinely cares about solving your problems. No phone trees, no run around, no attitude. That's what Adaptive Networks are all about. Call today at 661-241-0638. That's 241-0638. Join the IT network that American General Media uses every day.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
No one can beat us. No one can touch us.
So looking at that, we actually could do it tomorrow if you prefer.
This?
Yeah.
Well, do you understand this? It's a new year, so why not get into the new Subaru that you put off on? Oh, I see. Okay. I get it.
It's very poorly worded, but
we can do it at the top of the hour if we need to.
okay, it's up to you. I got the disclaimer done, so it's whenever you want to do it. But I was looking at the due date, and it's technically Wednesday, so whenever you want to do it.
Change your floors for a while, so call, click, or stop by today. Your free in-home estimate is waiting for you. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Sniffles and sneezes got you down? GoodRx is here to help with big savings on commonly prescribed cold and flu meds. GoodRx is free and easy to use. GoodRx is accepted at all major pharmacies like CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens. Just search your prescription, find a coupon, then show your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx is not insurance, but it works whether you have insurance or not. If you do, GoodRx may beat your copay price. Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com to save today.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19?
Well, just get... Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1.
Forgetting, because I was so excited about the show today, to bring in this long list that I created over the holidays of really cool songs. I had some Mary J. Blige, I had some Ella Fitzgerald, I had some some really old school stuff that I wanted to play.
Ask me a couple Grateful songs too, because I was going to play some.
Grateful Dead. I had some. Yeah, I got.
What's his name passed away as well.
Oh, that's right, Bob Weir. We should go wall to wall, GD, today.
Right, go wall to wall.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Nice catch. Totally forgot about that. The leader, Bob Weir. the leader of the Grateful Dead. They got to put them together. In fact, I was supposed to read about the Grateful Dead, so I got to talk about it, but I failed to do so. What do you got on the board? We got a couple of minutes before we get Kathy in here. Anything?
Yeah, I got a couple here.
What do you got?
Hey Ralph, have you heard the Michael Jordan or heard my Michael Jordan story?
Michael B. Jordan, who got snubbed last night at the Golden Globes?
Agreed.
In fact, the whole movie Sinners kind of got snubbed. You didn't watch it, did
No,
you?
I didn't watch it, but I saw the outcomes.
I watched her at 5, right before the football game. I watched Nikki Glazer's opening, which I thought was horrible. And then the first woman, the black woman, who I should know her name, won, and she started crying. And I was like, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. You people are in the whole big picture of life. These celebrities who get tens and in some case hundreds of millions of dollars are so incredibly insignificant to our society. Yes, they bring us a little entertainment, but I can't deal with them. I've never liked celebrities, but I grew up at least admiring the celebrities that we had because they seem to be more than just people that wanted to be loved. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just an old man, get off my lawn, but it just seemed to me that the 70s and the 80s had a bunch of actors, De Niro, Jack Lemmon, Henry Fonda, all those old school guys, Spencer Tracy, who really loved their Dustin Hoffman, Warren Beatty, who really loved their craft and their art. And it seems to me the young actor today just wants to be on television, just wants to be on movies, just wants to be a celebrity, wants likes, wants to be on Instagram, wants to be on TikTok. And I just can't handle it. And I'm so glad I didn't watch it because apparently it turned out to be a campaign convention for the liberals who, what do you think they talked about? The situation in Minnesota. And some were, I know Mark Ruffalo and who's the lesbian comedian that I like? Wanda Sykes. In fact, I think she made a statement on stage. I didn't see it, but they wore pins for Renee Good. And, I don't have it on the rundown today. I really didn't want to talk about it. We'll talk a little bit about it with Kathy, but, again, I'm done with the whole situation, particularly now that we've seen, because remember how this whole thing broke down. First, they said she was just, this innocent mother. And we find out, no, she was part of a group, Ice Watch, that specifically went there after she dropped off her child. Because that was the speech, right? Oh, this mother who just dropped off her child, and the next thing you know, she's dead. Well, she dropped off her child, and instead of going home and doing motherly things, she joined her lesbian wife as part of this ICE watch, where they go around Minneapolis and targeting ICE raids and trying to dispel them. And the only thing that I did want to talk about, I don't have a lot of time to talk about it now, but have you guys examined who they were targeting in that Minnesota-Minneapolis neighborhood? It was a child molester. It was a vicious child molester who they were going after. And that's who these ICE watches and all these anti-ICE protesters are protecting. In my opinion, and I've stated this clearly, I think they've gone too far. I think if Donald Trump had simply narrowed the scope and simply and exclusively picked up criminals, he'd be a hero. But the manner in which they've gone about it, I think is wrong. I do. But having said that, the bottom line in life, whether it's about immigration or just a casual run-in with the cops on California Avenue, do what police tell you to do. And there's even more evidence that I heard. I hadn't heard this. Because remember, I was the guy that argued with Howard that he didn't get hit. I was part of the Democratic talking points until I saw the third angle. And I'm not talking about the police officer's video that came out over the weekend. I'm talking about the third angle that clearly showed he got clipped. Clearly. And the talking points from the Democrats originally was he was not struck. She wasn't trying to hit him. And now they're saying, well, you don't get in front of a car. Well, now that we have his video, he wasn't in front of the car. He started circling the car, then got into a discussion with her lesbian wife, then came around the car and was on the side of the car. She turned the vehicle and put him in front of the car. Now, again, I think we have to think with some sort of complexity. Two things can be true. Do I believe that Renee Good said, I'm gunning this thing and I'm running that son of a bitch over? No, I don't believe that. But we know for a fact that she was trying to flee law enforcement. We've heard, or I heard, I don't know if you all have heard it, I'm sure you have, her wife telling her, drive, baby, drive. She witnessed the two ICE agents trying to open the door. She heard the ICE agent tell her wife, step out of the car. The bottom line is, when you don't obey law enforcement, whether it's an ICE agent, whether it's a Bakersfield police officer or a sheriff deputy, it ain't going to end well. This thing should have and could have been avoided. All she had to do was step out of the vehicle. That's all she had to do. One more, and let's get Kathy in here.
Real quick, we got a caller.
Who you got?
Jerry's on the line.
Jerry, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Yeah, I got to meet Bob Weir when he came to Bakersfield. I talked to him. He had a solo thing going, and it was kind of interesting. They had all these deadheads around there, and they were selling their arts and crafts. And I felt like I was doing a Grateful Dead thing. So the second time I've seen that, but yeah, he was okay. He took a picture with me, and I got it on some old cell phone, and I don't know which one.
That's funny. Did you get to talk to him, ask him how he put the group together?
Yeah, he was cool. Yeah, no, he was just cool, But there's a funny story about him when his dad, he was the youngest one, and his dad would talk to the Grateful Dead, about, well, you look out for little Bobby, and don't worry, we'll take care of him. We'll only give him 50 hits of LSD instead of 100.
That's funny.
Yeah,
all right, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. That's a good story. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome.
Take care.
See you later.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
We head into the 4 o'clock hour. It's a Monday. Kathy Abernathy will join us. And then at the bottom of the hour, Sheriff Donny Youngblood. And then at 5, Michael Bowers on the life and times of Irma Carson, a legend in this community who broke barriers no one else has. We haven't seen an African American on that city council since she retired. In the meantime, I was going to editorialize, but let me shut up. Quick timeouts, TRBS on a Monday at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KR, and we're streaming live. Kathy Abernathy is next.
This is AM 1180 KERN, Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM, Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A nurses' strike hit several major New York City hospitals. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
Thousands of nurses across 3 hospital systems in New York City went on strike Monday after contract negotiations broke down. Mayor Mamdani was at their picket line at New York Presbyterian.
These nurses are here for New Yorkers.
The strike involves about 15,000 nurses, including Tristan Castillo, who works at Mount Sinai.
The strike is about getting a fair contract.
They say the major issues include staffing levels, workplace safety, and health care. Julie Walker, New York.
Democratic Senator Mark Kelly is suing the Pentagon over attempts to punish him. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The lawsuit comes a week after Defense Secretary Hegseth censured Kelly over his participation in a video that called on troops to resist unlawful orders. Kelly claims the Trump administration is trampling on his constitutional rights to free speech. The Pentagon's action could result in a demotion from Kelly's retired rank of captain and subsequent reduction in retirement pay. The suit asks the court to rule that the censure letter and any other punishments against the senator are unlawful and unconstitutional. Greg Clugston, Washington.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says diplomacy is always the first option for President Trump, but he's keeping his options open regarding Iran.
I think one thing President Trump is very good at is always keeping all of his options on the table, and airstrikes would be one of the many, many options that are on the table for the commander-in-chief.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 86 points, the Nasdaq rose 62, the S&P advanced 11, oil up to $59.60 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-524-4948. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-524-4948. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-524-4948 or biglou.com.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
A person hit and killed this morning. I'm Chris Davis. That happened at the intersection of South Union Avenue and Garden Drive, says Bakersfield PD. But they are still working on the report, so this is what you get from the cops for now. It happened shortly after 6:15, and the person who was hit has not been identified publicly. As far as how it happened, that info is just not out yet. If you've been following the Maya Hernandez story and were waiting to hear what her sentence would be on the child endangerment charge for which she was convicted last month, you'll have to wait longer. The court this morning said they have not reached a decision on that, nor have they reached a decision on whether she will be retried on her murder charge for the hot car death of her one-year-old son Emilio, which happened in June. You may remember that that part of her trial ended in a mistrial. Another hearing is scheduled for February 3rd. A man who was shot and killed Sunday morning after a chase by Kern County deputies was reported to have been shooting off a pistol when deputies got to the scene, which was at Kilbreth and Lake Isabella Avenue in Lake Isabella. That's where the guy sped off and was chased first on Highway 178 and then on Highway 155, where the chase ended and he was shot and killed. Deputies haven't said whether he was firing at them when he was shot, and his name has not been made public. If you have had any interactions with Kern County Child Protective Services, the Kern County Department of Human Services would like to hear from you, and they are doing that with several listening sessions. The first one is tonight at 6:15 at the Boys and Girls Club on Niles Street in Bakersfield. Two are also scheduled for tomorrow, one at 9:30 at the same place and 4:30 at Central Church of Christ in Delano. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Little thing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Monday, 12th day of January. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 at AM 1180 KERN, where we stream live, KERNradio.com, and broadcast live on YouTube. Still lots to do, bottom of the hour. Sheriff Donny Youngblood's going to join us. Then at 5, our good friend Michael Bowers will talk about the life and legacy of Irma Carson, passed away over the weekend at the age of 90. Talk a little NFL football. The playoffs first round are not over. We've got Texas and the Steelers going at it in about an hour, Chris, hour and a half, to round out round 1. And we'll talk about no defending champion as the Eagles fall out. The Bears beat the Packers again in another thriller. And we'll tell you what the matchups are. The Bills and the Broncos coming up on Saturday, along with the 49ers taking on the Seahawks. And on Sunday, the Rams are in Chicago. And we've got Who's waiting on Texas, Pittsburgh, Chris?
That would be New England.
New England, that's right. New England. Derek May pulled his head out of his butt. Looked horrible the first half, and then looked like Derek. What's his first name?
Drake.
Drake. I know that doesn't sound right. Played well in the second half and got a victory for him, and they're waiting on tonight's winner. But it is a Monday. Head out on my highway. Kathy's looking for adventure. Professor Kathy Abernathy. All right, Professor.
Very good. You know what? How come today, you know, we had this excellent view of 99 in California, and they're driving so fast. They're usually bumper to bumper. I wonder what isn't going on. That, I mean, it's a regular work day. So
well, it's like LA used to be. Early in the week, the traffic isn't quite as bad, and then Thursday, Friday, that first lane on 99 is backed up because the trucks can't make that turn onto the 58 going very fast.
Right.
And that slows down the traffic, and that first lane is normally a nightmare, but you're right.
But I'm always here on Mondays.
And
always
it's backed
bad.
up. Yeah.
I look at it probably more than you because it's straight out. Yeah.
Right.
I'm just surprised what maybe they've improved. Maybe something was one lane was narrowed. I don't know, but
blue skies, beautiful day.
Yeah.
We're starting to get into spring.
I do the 10-day weather thing.
Yeah.
And it's no rain. I kind of like it because then I don't have to water my yard. But but it's
and temps in the 60s. Not bad.
Yeah, 60s are fine. Like today, didn't have to wear a coat or anything.
Yeah, exactly. A little sweater weather. I don't mind that.
Can't complain compared to the rest of the country.
No
people that live in the rest of the world that have real winters, which we don't really have. And then when we have a couple weeks of it, we freak out. But.
Yes, because I hate the cold. I hate the cold. Speaking of the cold, are we going to have a 51st state? or territory in Greenland?
In Greenland? Well, it sure makes sense. And there's a lot of other people that want it that aren't such good friends of ours. So, I got curious about Greenland because honestly, did you study Greenland in school?
No.
No?
No.
I don't even know if I know the capital.
I don't know the capital of Greenland.
I know Helsinki.
Is Finland.
Finland, yeah. I'm not
Helsinki
even near
is the capital of Finland.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with
Hey
this.
Siri, what is the capital of Greenland?
Nuuk is the capital of
Nuuk. Well, of course. N-U-U-K. Who doesn't know that? Nuuk? Wow.
You know, there's the same number of people in the continent of Greenland, which is bigger than Mexico, than Delano.
Caddy, back
What?
up.
What?
Greenland's not
a country.
Country.
I'm sorry.
said
I meant country.
I thought you were making eight continents all of a sudden.
Yeah, Trump probably would do that.
Yes.
No, it's the population of Greenland, and it's as large as Mexico. It's the same size as Delano, 57. In fact, Delano's 58. Delano's 58,000. Greenland is 57. I looked it up today. Can you believe that?
There's many people in Delano or there are in the country of Greenland.
Right.
Wow.
It's true.
That's crazy.
And so that's why, and then we have a little odd to pronounce. I can't pronounce it because the letters of it, we have a space, I call it space something, but it's called Bidufek, F-E-E-K, but that's where we have our own military, our own facility there. But Russia and China, they're all over it. Because for Russia, I know I hope I brought it. I blew up a map of looking at the world I couldn't enlarge it more. When you look if you were at the North Pole and you look out, you see why Greenland and the pathway from Russia to Greenland is the way they bring their goods here anyway, and then they continue on. But they're close. It's all close up there. It seems we don't think about the North Pole, we don't think about the Arctic much, but that map really reminded me why we're so concerned about it.
And I know it was so close to North America.
Yeah, it is. I think that's why Greenland to New York City is 2,000 miles.
Wow.
But California to Maine is 3,200 miles. So, it's close to that. Now, it's not what you call a great place to go. 80% of it is pure ice. 80% of it.
Wow.
And I heard this before this whole thing came up. I read this, that there's little towns, but there's no roads between towns in Greenland because it's just too much work to try to produce, build it and make it last through the kind of weather. So they do not, I don't know how they go. Sled dogs? I don't know.
I have no idea.
But, that's odd too, even those 58,000 people to live there. I suppose they're mostly serving some of these causes, like the military base.
Do we know how Denmark got their hands on it?
Well, from the history I saw, that it's been kind of friendly. I guess World War II, we got really involved with getting our feet in there and got an agreement. But yeah, it's the whole history of 1100, 1200, 1300 different Vikings and things that were going on there.
Yeah.
But by World War II or World War I, even Denmark had control of it. But since then, Greenland has been able to separate. They have their own legislature. I don't know how their campaigns go, but they have their own legislature. They have they have the right. They can vote to break from Denmark, and then Denmark's parliament has to vote to agree to them breaking. So if Trump would have to negotiate with both Denmark and Greenland, I think Greenland's just looking for someone to help invest. We put money in there right now. But
and we have a base there as well.
Right. That's the space. They call it Space Forum, but it's pronounced Biduvek. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Secretary Seward tried to get it by the United States in 1867.
That's Lincoln's administration.
1867. And then in 1951, United States made a deal that we could have troops there. So we do have that.
Yeah,
so,
that was Truman.
But the thing is, what is it? There's 35 trillion, not million, not billion, $35 trillion worth of untapped oil and gas. 35 trillion. That's attractive.
And the mineral rights as well.
Yes, and the mineral rights. That's very attractive to both Russia and China to have that. That's why China was sitting over there in Venezuela the night Trump showed up and knocked on the door. They need this, and it's very attractive. Now, I'm sure it's not inexpensive to pull it up, but they're coming up with all these LNG, different power plants that can work. So I don't think it's a crazy idea because I don't want Russia to control that. They already ship tons through there, but I mean, they can plant any kind of facility they want, and they could take it over too, for all we know.
Do you like the way Trump is going about it? And do you see troops in Greenland?
I don't know how they could march very well.
Apparently not.
What kind of boots do you get to go hiking through?
Well, with that kind of separation, it wouldn't take long to capture the place. Send in 500 paratroopers and we run the joint.
Or offer to move them all to Florida, and I mean, they might jump at that too.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Give them a U.S. package deal.
I was surprised their population went up. Not a lot, but I'm thinking, who's getting married there and having kids? Geez, that's just
what else do you do?
I guess there should be, the population did grow.
Yeah. Good.
I hope they have, but do they have hospitals and doctors in all these little towns that can't drive to each other? I don't know. So the
all right, she's giving me
is,
an assignment tonight.
What?
Yeah, I'm going to go study about Greenland.
Go study Greenland. Yeah. It's so we will see. But the 35 trillion in oil and gas reserves.
35 trillion.
You can't walk away from that.
No.
And when your question to me was, do you think Trump is handling it right? I think he's good at being gruff like that to shake it up,
right.
And then he'll go back in and send Rubio there because I think Rubio can. What is the saying? Buy ice from.
Sell ice to the Greenland people.
Right.
Eskimos is the normal deal.
But I think that there will be some of that going on. I don't know that it'll be control completely, but at least to get our foot in the door. But that's the only way that Trump could stop China and Russia. And then my main point to your audience and you and everybody is, we've had presidents the last dozen years, last 20 years. Anybody bring up these kind of concerns? I mean, Trump has got his hands. I mean, he is doing something. And seriously, we got to look at this. This is our neighbor, very close, But it's very close to Russia and China, as you can see on this weird map that I printed.
We have to be interested in anything China is interested in. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the Venezuelan thing that you brought up is a great example. What they're doing in Africa is a great example. We have to, because to me, they're the biggest threat in the planet.
China is in many ways more so. I think that Russia, Putin just before he dies has got to bring back the acreage that was lost after they weren't communist anymore. But yeah, that's pretty serious what could happen there. And I think that China, the fact that, in Africa, that's a big deal. And I don't hear enough talk about that.
No, not at
They're
all.
going into Africa where they have these minerals and so the deal they make is we'll provide you security, maybe it's law enforcement and probably computer stuff, internet and stuff. We'll provide that if we can have access to those minerals, and those areas of Africa need it. So they're making deals. We should be doing the same. Now, I don't know if we have any. Maybe one of your listeners knows, but so that's another big deal. And you're right. China is the biggest threat because they do have an economy as compared to Russia, who is starving right now.
Any speculation on what life in Russia is going to look like after Putin's gone?
I don't know who they're going to put in. If we didn't have Gorbachev when all this dealing went on with everything, none of this.
Who knows where we would be.
He was. Well, he was educated in the U.S. as I recall.
and got along swimmingly with President Reagan.
Right, but Putin just wants to he's still today. He's in Ukraine bombing. So I don't think he's going to stop. It's all about getting his name in history books. There's 4 or 5 major names that we all know over the last 150 years, and he wants to be up there as savior.
As the guy that put the band back together.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what Putin wants, and at any price. And, the worst thing, not the worst, but one of the worst things that bothers me is that he purposely took children out of Ukraine, brought them into Russia.
Tens of thousands of children.
And are having them raised by Russian families, but they're being trained for one reason, to go right back there in 10, 12 years when they forget the memories and be soldiers against Ukraine.
Right. It's amazing.
That's heartbreaking.
It really is. I really don't want to talk about this, but I guess we almost have to. The whole Minneapolis thing, now that we have video from the law enforcement, Jonathan Ross, the ICE agent. And it just amazes me that this is just a team game. That if you're a Democrat, you think that this was murder. And if you're a Republican, you think that you ought to obey the law. There's a shock that when an agent or a cop tells you to get out of the car, you get out of the car. It's that simple. It's the lesson that most of us are taught as children. When a cop pulls you over, keep your hands on the steering wheel. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. I'm going to my glove compartment to get my registration. I'm reaching in my back pocket to get my wallet. You and if something goes wrong, we'll handle it later.
Exactly.
But you say, yes, sir, no, ma'am, and let it go. And this didn't happen.
This woman, it's tragic and sad that she's dead. On the other hand, has anybody in your audience thought when either you saw, I'm speeding or I'm on my phone, I think they saw me, decide to either speed away or once he stops you to say, have a happy day or whatever, and then just start driving away. Has anybody thought of doing that?
Yeah.
What I don't know this woman, what was going on in her head, because I do believe that a lot of these people are hired workers. The ones that are in the street are hired.
She clearly was.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of the devil, I'll jump off because you jogged my memory. Did you see Laura Ingraham on the ground in Minneapolis where she got the woman to admit? Laura Ingraham asked this just general protester, don't you have a job? And she says, I'm working. I get paid for this. Yeah. And Laura looked at the camera and was like, touchdown Raiders. That's all I needed. Thank you. I'm going back to the studio. I mean, this is incredible.
It needs to be said, and it needs to be said more and more that this is too organized. In the middle of the day, unless all of you are on welfare, but even that, what got you to go down there and behave like this and have signs that are already made?
Yes.
I always contrast it with UCLA and the anti-Vietnam protests. One, they weren't ugly about it. And two, everything was scratched up, made by hand. It was not, they ended when they had to get to class or whatever they were doing. this is different. Not just this though, Minneapolis. Most of what you're seeing in New York, Oregon,
Seattle,
yeah,
all the stuff that they're paid for. It first dawned on all of us who have common sense when the students started protesting on campuses. And all of a sudden we noticed that they all had uniform tents. Like, what kind of college kids, how could they distribute 500 green, really nice tents on their own? And then we started putting two and two together. And where did they get these Palestinian flags?
That's exactly. How did they all end up with Palestinians wrapped around them? They all they didn't look beat up. They've been, freshly made. No, it's so organized. And then I think about other countries where they're friends with us, but I'm sure our news coverage is playing there. And I'm thinking, what are they thinking of us that we're doing these kind of things, like treating law enforcement the way law enforcement that's trying to get pedophiles and everybody else, excuse me.
Yes, that's who they were targeting in that Minneapolis neighborhood. We now know more about Rebecca Good, that she was part of ICE Watch, that she just wasn't there randomly, that they were targeting those ICE agents who were searching for a child molester. So that's who these people are defending. And
they don't want them arrested.
Yes, they don't want them arrested. And they have no idea who these people are going after. And they just make a broad stroke that it has to be these innocent folks, when many times it is not. And it wasn't in this case.
It wasn't in this case. And then last night, the
Golden Globes. Yes.
These actors that they want us all to go to their movies. So why they, if I was a movie star, I'd probably play down my politics,
like
right?
Taylor Swift and some of the smarter people who just play it down the middle.
Right.
It's the Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan, I don't mean to interrupt, but it's a classic example. Harvey Gantt was going up against Jesse Helms in the 1980s in North Carolina, where Michael Jordan is from, where he went to college. And Harvey Gantt is an African American. And there was pressure on Michael Jordan to endorse Harvey Gantt because Jesse Helms, in my opinion, quite bluntly, was a bigot. Was a horrendous bigot. So there was tremendous pressure on Michael Jordan just when his brand was going out the roof to endorse Harvey Gantt. And he said, I don't get into politics because Republicans buy tennis shoes too. And that sums it up. And you're right. You would think these actors would want to stay neutral, but not so much last night.
I didn't know he was running against Helms.
Yeah.
Harvey Gantt.
Yeah.
Okay. What year?
I remember that vividly.
Approximately when we're talking.
Like 80.
It had to be 80s, yeah. Not older than
80,
that.
yeah. No, I was
because the player isn't that.
No, I was in my 20s. Yeah, it was definitely in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before
they had to follow. I wonder what they were going to do. And I didn't watch. I watched a couple minutes of it. Was all, but I wondered what they were going to stage. When I read it today, I guess there was some stuff said.
Yeah, Wanda Sykes made a statement, and Mark Ruffalo, and many of them wore buttons. But my man Bill Maher came through like a champ. They interviewed him, and they asked him after the awards what he thought about the pins and the thing, and he said, "We're actors. This is here about awards. I'm not here to talk about politics. You want to talk to me about politics? Watch my show on Friday. But this is supposed to be a night of glamour and awards, and I'm not getting into it," and walked off. I love that dude. I really do.
Well, the entertainment industry, movies especially, all of this, they've got to realize they got to get their audience back, and they're only going after half or third or 10%. I don't know where the audience is. It's on the side of all the bad folks that they're trying to arrest. So that's even more crazy. But yeah, I was disappointed that came up because I thought maybe tonight they're going to not do any of it. But no, they still did.
Yes, they did.
But that Congresswoman
Ilhan Omar,
she's a piece of work.
She put on a show on the talk shows this weekend. She's just,
she's an African refugee, and I wasn't sure what that meant exactly. Was she? It says refugee in her. I looked at her bio.
Yeah.
Does that mean she was fleeing what? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's what it says. She's an African refugee. That's how she came. So, but her goals, I think she had 3 goals. One's immigration reform, which I'm sure that means the way Biden did it. But her agenda includes climate change.
Well,
and I'm
of
thinking,
course.
boy, you left Africa and must have been in a bad situation. And you come here and you're a congresswoman, and what you're going to fight for is to change the climate, which, again, I will say to the congresswoman, my birthday's in August. It's really hot always. How about pulling down the temp in August if you're for climate change?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy.
It's the most silly agenda, political agendas, to use even that term. But no, they're certain that that's why I made the comment last summer, I think July 19 or 12, one of those dates, they said was the hottest day in Bakersfield since 1912. Okay, well, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It took 115 years for it to be as hot as it was then, and yet we still think we have to change. So
it's absolutely crazy. Got a couple of minutes left. Any thoughts on what's going on in Iran? I heard this late today, and I had so much show that I didn't really have any time to talk about it, but they are going nuts in Iran. And this is particularly poignant in my hometown of Los Angeles, because I didn't know this, although I went to high school with several. They called them Persians back in the 70s and the 80s, but I went to school with a ton of kids who were from Tehran, really wealthy, crazy kids. I remember this girl that I went to her house.
that was Ralph in high school.
Yeah. And I had never seen a home like this. She lived in Holmby Hills, and I'd seen some big houses. I went to school with a large number of really rich kids, but this thing was stupid. This thing had a staircase that went up both sides, and it was just the craziest house I'd ever seen. So this is a big deal, and I'm smelling regime change. What do you think?
Well, and I watched the son of the Shah, he's pretty old, which really dates, the Shah of Iran.
Yeah.
Of course, he was chased out in 79.
Yeah.
And they've been suffering ever since. And so he's saying that he's willing to go back temporarily, but I don't know how they're going to get it organized, because it's just like Venezuela. You got to get rid of so many crooks.
Yeah.
And ugly people that have killed in so many horrific ways. How do you get to Secretary of State and get the ballots printed and all that to make some change? But of course, he's desperate to want to do it, to bring back the glory days. But we will see. It's good they're standing up, because their economy is so bad. It's so bad.
Unemployment's like 30%.
Yeah, people will stand up when they can't feed their kids.
Exactly.
I mean, it's so bad there. So, and I don't know their solution, because we're not selling to them. So they're and we're Trump's going after him. So let's hope all this different efforts he's doing. When someone said to me, "Do you think Trump can handle Venezuela with all he's got going?" That guy lives to do 20 things at once. So I'm not worried about that. But I'm hopeful we can make real inroads.
And the best part of the cabinet is the foreign policy side, with Rubio and Jared Kushner and Wyckoff.
And energy side is good too. But,
Doug Emhoff.
Yes, not Emhoff.
Doug Burgum. That's Kamala's husband. Doug Burgum from South Dakota.
He is brilliant.
Yeah.
Right.
Happy Abernathy, everybody. Quick time out. Don't go anywhere. Sheriff Donny Youngblood joins us next. Yeah, it was.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Well,
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul are suing the federal government to stop an enforcement surge by Immigration and Customs Enforcement following the fatal shooting of a Minneapolis woman by an ICE officer. The state and cities filed a lawsuit in federal court on Monday. President Trump says Iran wants to negotiate with Washington after his threat to strike the Islamic Republic over its crackdown on protesters in nationwide demonstrations that activists said Monday had left at least 599 people dead. Iran had no direct reaction to Trump's comments. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 86 points, the Nasdaq rose 62, the S&P 500 advanced 11. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. The fate of Maya Hernandez was expected to be announced today with sentencing on her child endangerment conviction, but that has been postponed. The court has also not reached a decision on whether she will be retried for the hot car death of her 1-year-old son, Emilio, which happened in June. A person was hit and killed this morning just after 6:15 at the intersection of South Union Avenue and Garden Drive, says Bakersfield PD. They have not released that person's name. A 70-year-old hiker was rescued by 3 rescue groups after being stuck all night on Mount Pinos, says Bakersfield Search and Rescue. They say that happened Thursday night and credit the hard work of selfless volunteers for his safe return. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries in Kern County. If you're eligible for Medicare and looking for a doctor who listens and cares about you with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations, it's time you learned about QualCare IPA. You know, for years, I've been telling you QualCare IPA contracts with most Medicare Advantage health plans and provides you with access to a large network of outstanding doctors and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Medicare Advantage health plans go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today at 661-554-4544 and let us help you understand your options for 2026. Call today, 661-554-4544. That's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs and meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, California is officially clear of drought status. And we will talk to the person best qualified to comment on that, Lois Henry. We'll have the latest on the Zach Scribner petition. We'll have state-of-the-art news and traffic. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
We were Grateful Dead on a Monday following the passing of Bob Weir, the leader of the Grateful Dead. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. Then coming up at the top of the hour, Michael Bowers will join us, talk about the life and legacy of Irma Carson, a woman who broke so many barriers in this community. It's just remarkable, her incredible career as a school board member, as a police officer, the first African-American woman to be a police officer, the first African-American to be on the school board, the first African-American woman to be on the city council, and just the legacy that she left in terms of her community service and what she meant to me personally as a young reporter in the 90s, bumbling around covering the city council, and how many times Irma helped me, I cannot count. I really can't. She was a wonderful, wonderful woman. And we'll talk to Mr. Bowers at 5 o'clock. And then I'll tell you about this murder mystery that is no longer a mystery out of Ohio, the dentist and his wife who were murdered in their home with their 4- and 1-year-old unscathed. And it's a weird story. She divorced a man, a vascular surgeon, in 2017, and police believe that he drove from Rockford, Illinois, all the way to Columbus, Ohio, to murder her husband and his ex-wife. It's a crazy story. And we'll talk a little NFL football. But first, we are happy to have, once again, Sheriff Donny Youngblood on the broadcast via the Rogers Brandon Global Telephone Network. Sheriff, thanks again for joining us.
Certainly, Ralph.
So there is, what stirred this was Mr. Flores, who was the only one, I do believe, who approached you about the body cam video that was recorded the night of this incident with Zach Scribner in Tehachapi, correct?
He did.
Yeah. And is it likely that'll be released, and who makes that call?
The government code and the Welfare Institution Code prohibit on these type of cases to release them from our standpoint. It will take a juvenile judge, I think, to issue it, even for the victim's mother. So these cases are made and designed to protect the juvenile at all costs. So his request is probably, well, I know it's going to be denied.
Right. But you've seen the video, correct?
You know, what happened was I've had a lot of people asking me if the AG was telling the truth, or if Kathy Scribner was telling the truth, or if the deputies were telling the truth. So I had my staff, I said, I want you to pull the body-worn camera. I do not want you to tell me what it says. I want to watch it myself. And I did, and there was absolutely no doubt in my mind that she did that.
I mean, there are direct quotes on that video of her instructing the children, correct?
Yes, she walked in when the two juvenile males were being interviewed, and she said, what's going on in here? You guys need to not say too much, just keep quiet. And the investigator said, hey, listen, we're not allowed to do that. It's a crime to dissuade people from making reports to law enforcement. And Kathy says, oh, I know, but this is escalating into something, a real big mess.
Why hasn't she been charged with obstruction?
That's a phone call that you need to make to the AG, because we've submitted it to the Attorney General. Obviously, he's aware of it. He quoted it in the courtroom.
He quoted Kathy Scrivener in the courtroom?
Yes, in the court. That's how this surfaced. Was in the argument at Scrivener's hearing, he argued that his mother tried to dissuade the witnesses.
And yet they failed to charge him with that. And we still don't know why they didn't charge him with a sex charge, which is complexing. But now there is growing momentum, thanks to you, Shannon Grove, Jasmine Baines. They're wanting to take this to the Department of Justice. The executive director of the Open Door Network, Lauren Skidmore, has a petition that's got thousands of signatures now. Is there a chance that either the DOJ might get involved on the federal side, or there could be a reversal in Scrivener's mental health diversion?
Well, I'm going to be cautious what I say, Ralph, but I can tell you this, that the FBI has a copy of all the reports. Whether they're going to investigate it or not, I cannot tell you.
Yeah. Sheriff Donny Youngblood is our guest. I had a source tell me, I didn't go on the air with it, and then I fleshed it out. I had two other sources confirm this, that he was also instructed to wash the sheets, and I was told by three different sources that he was told to bite down his fingernails as far as he possibly could. Is that accurate?
I have not read the reports. I will tell you this, my staff has assured me that there was a movement to do away with evidence. What that means, I didn't ask. The report's about 4 inches thick, the total of all the reports. And quite frankly, I don't need to know all that stuff. That's for the prosecutor to read through it and make a determination whether there's enough evidence to issue a complaint against anybody.
Yeah. If in fact that's true, and I'm no longer a journalist, I can speculate, and even sometimes on the shade of maybe even irresponsibility, but doesn't that sound like law enforcement advice? That doesn't sound like something an ordinary citizen would think about. Maybe I'm not that bright, because I certainly would never think of biting down my fingernails to destroy DNA.
Well, certainly that it could be possible, but people make up things all as we go along here. They hear a rumor, it grows, the rumor grows. I have not heard that yet, but I have not read the reports. But I have not heard the fingerprint thing or the fingernails at all.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it didn't happen. I haven't read the reports.
Right.
Doesn't mean it did happen either.
Sure. What did the deputies, at what point did Mrs. Scrivener, Kathy Scrivener's mother, come to the house?
She was already there, from what I understand.
When the deputies arrived?
Yes.
Okay.
I understand she was there not to watch the kids or to do something. I understand she was doing homework with one of the kids when this all exploded.
So Mrs. Scrivener was there when the alleged, well, I can't call it alleged any longer, when the incident first erupted?
I don't know.
But
I know she was there. She was there prior to our arrival. I don't think she traveled up there or wherever she lives.
Okay, I thought you said that she was doing homework with one of the kids.
That's what I understand.
Yeah. So where does this go, in your opinion, Sheriff? Is this thing dead, or can Jasmine Baines and Lauren Skidmore and all those voices, David Valadeo and Vince Fong, can they resurrect this thing and take another look, or is that way?
Federal and state are two different issues, two different types of crimes. They don't necessarily overlap. If you remember, OJ was found innocent of the state crimes.
Right.
And then federally prosecuted for a violation of civil rights.
Right.
So where this goes is entirely up to, if the feds have it and they investigate it, they can make a recommendation, they can issue warrants, they can say, we're not going to touch this. The AG, I think the California AG wished he had never, ever got involved in this because it's blown up in his face.
Yeah. And again, we still don't know why in the world they never refuted the lone forensic psychologist selected by the defense, H.A. Sala. And again, I've been told by legal experts that Joseph Penny was about the poorest decision they could have made to go up against H.A. Sala.
Well, I think that's probably true, Ralph. But it goes even further than that. When the President of the United States was accused of a crime, he was booked. Zach Scribner is the only person I've ever known that's never been booked in the jail. The deal was cut in the back of the courtroom, and he walked out and never went through the booking process.
Yeah.
I've never seen that happen before.
And again, we talked about this the last time we had you on, about a week or two ago. Explain why the deputies did not book him on site.
Well, there was a couple reasons. Number one, we knew there was going to be a problem having someone within the 48 hours to arraign him. More importantly, those type of cases, generally speaking, almost always, we almost wait till we get DNA, because you have a young man who is accused of a crime by his children, who may have just had a fight with their dad. One of them stabbed her dad, so we don't really know for sure, without having the DNA back, that anything really occurred.
Yeah.
We suspected. We don't think she was lying. We didn't think that night she was lying. That's why I did a press conference. I was absolutely convinced. Still am.
When you say she, you're talking about the little girl, his daughter.
Correct.
Where was he taken after the incident?
That's a great question. They wouldn't, mental health wouldn't talk to us.
So how was he
not abnormal? I mean, there's some protections there.
I'm confused. So your deputies didn't transport him?
No, they did not. Not to my knowledge. Once he was at Mary Kay Shell, we lost track of any information from there.
Okay, how did he get to Mary Kay Shell?
I don't know. I think that they took him, but I'm not positive.
They being the deputies?
No, the family.
The family took him to Mary Kay Shell. But he was never handcuffed? He was never truly detained?
Correct.
And why was that? Just because of the...
Well, when you arrest someone, you have 48 hours to arraign him. The district attorney has to arraign him.
Right.
We knew that wasn't going to happen with our district attorney because it was his aunt. The next day or the day after, we called the attorney general and asked them to take the case. They told us no. They said that the DA can handle it. She can wall off for her own attorney. So then we started looking for San Luis Obispo and Tulare County.
Right.
And we finally got an approval, but then I found out I didn't have the authority to ask. It had to be our sitting district attorney, which caused another conflict because she's involved in the case.
Right.
So it was very convoluted, and we really didn't. This is new territory for all of us.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's a story that's not going to go away. It's a situation that's not going to go away anytime sooner. And I appreciate you taking the time and clarifying it.
I want you to know we got the children out of there so they were safe. That was the most important thing to us. And then time's on our side.
Yeah.
You don't want to rush to in these cases, because if you find out that the kids made this up, got in a fight with their dad and stabbed him because they didn't want to do their homework, you've ruined the guy's career for no reason.
Right.
So we have to be very cautious on how we operate on those type of cases. And the deputies did exactly right. Deputies were very honest, very truthful. And I had to defend the deputies when everybody asked me if they were telling the truth, I had to come to their defense.
Right.
I can't leave them hanging out there with people thinking they're not being truthful.
Right. So yet another question for the AG's office. Why did you not investigate Kathy Scrivener on charges for telling those kids not to talk to the deputies?
Well, that's a very valid question. I don't know. I don't know what all occurred there because I haven't read the reports on whether there was a destruction of evidence or not. But there's a lot of ifs there that the AG can answer because they had it for almost a year.
Yeah.
It doesn't take anybody a year to investigate that.
After they originally turned down prosecuting it in the first place, did they not?
They did, and then a week later they called us. Once we got, I think it was San Luis Obispo County to agree, the AG called back and said we'll take it.
Yeah.
And we thought it was a good thing, but it turned out not to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Always great to talk to you, Sheriff. I appreciate you taking the time and enlightening us more on this thing.
All right, Ralph.
All right.
Have a great day.
Take care. You too. Sheriff Donny Youngblood. It's like a puzzle. The deeper you get into it, the more questions are asked, the more questions that need to be asked that have not been answered. I mean,
If Grandma was there, that's why I can't wrap my head around.
I still don't understand the timeline.
Yeah, I don't either.
Was she there when the incident occurred? Was she
somehow
called there?
Yeah.
I just, and you know, there's a school board meeting tonight, by the way. Whether or not Kathy Scrivener is there, I doubt very seriously. And if she is, I tip my hat to her because I think it's going to be packed. And I think the lion's share of the questions are going to be, did you or did you not say this? Why is the sheriff saying you're a liar? And I think some people are going to ask for her to step down from the school board. That's just my own irresponsible speculation. Let's take a break. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll talk with Michael Bowers, talk about the lifetimes and legacy of a wonderful human being, Irma Carson, who passed away at the age of 90. In the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com, broadcasting live on YouTube.
News Talk 96.1.
Did you want to do KC?
KC, right here?
Yeah.
See a day in jail, and it's all because of who he knows. His aunt is the district attorney, Cynthia Zimmer, but her sister, Kathy Scrivener, sits on the Kern High School District Board. She's the one that called the district attorney the night this all went down, and she's been trying to cover it up ever since, whether she's mad at her sister now for calling the sheriff or whether she's telling the kids to not talk to the police. You, Miss Kathy Scrivener, need to step down from your elected position and need to be held on obstruction charges.
Weekdays at 2 p.m.
Have you been in KC Steakhouse in the new year? Unfortunately for all of us, all the Christmas decorations are pretty much down. But I've been in there twice, and it was wonderful. And it's becoming a staple now. I had two people come up to me. I had dinner there with David Couch the other night, and two people came up and said, I love the Ralph Bailey. What is the Ralph Bailey? It's a chicken breast smothered in a mushroom and spinach creamy sauce. I go with a baked potato and mixed vegetables. And the point I bring this up because obviously you all have voted it the best steakhouse in town in the Bakersfield, California poll. But if you'll notice, anytime you're at KC Steakhouse, everyone loves to celebrate anniversaries, birthdays, meaning there are large parties. And not everybody wants to enjoy one of Cassie Biddle's great steaks. And that's why I talk about what Chef Daniel is doing in the kitchen, because he's varied the menu. They're all kind of chicken dishes that I love, the fish dishes, the halibut, the swordfish, the mahi-mahi. It is a great variety. And again, you voted it best steakhouse in Kern County. KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything
to
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more.
There's a couple in here.
It wasn't the bombshell I thought it'd be.
No, but again, it's because it's like JR said, he hasn't really read the file himself, so I don't think he's even put it together fully yet. But I mean, again, he knows more than anybody.
Well, he quoted her.
Yeah, he did. And that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
The Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a sub.
You got to call her too.
It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
So that wasn't quite the bombshell I expected, but the sheriff did in fact quote Kathy Scrivener instructing those kids not to talk to the police. That is big. That's obstruction of justice is what that is. And I would think 8 or 9 times out of 10, a person that would do something like that would go to jail, would absolutely, or at least be charged. And again, it's another question for the AG's office on how they approach this thing, sending down this neophyte, Joseph Penny, to take, go dig him up. Go dig him up if you want to know something about how they approach this thing. And again, my thesis has always been that they didn't want to have anything to do with this case. That's why they turned it down in the first place, as the sheriff chronicled. And then once they got a hold of it, they didn't really want to mess with this thing. And we had Clayton Campbell in here, a noted defense attorney, and he stressed the fact that, well, logically, Rob Bonta would have no reason to do a solid for Cynthia Zimmer. She's a Republican, he's a Democrat, they don't see eye to eye, boop, 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 boop. Then I started speculating. Does Rob Bonta have a relationship with H.A. Sala? Because the entire prosecution of this case makes absolutely no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. The charges that were leveled and the charges that were not leveled. And then Penny comes down here from Sacramento and, like Nikita Khrushchev, bangs his shoe on the table. I'm making that up. Insisting, wait a minute, why aren't you charging him? Because you didn't charge him. How are you going to yell at the judge when you all made the specific charges that created the lane for mental diversion for this man? And again, the thing that just sticks in my mind that I'm sure you're tired of hearing me talk about is the fact that H.A. Sala got to select the lone forensic psychologist who much of the judge's decision was based on. And when we asked Mr. Sala, who was on the program, and you can go back on YouTube and watch that entire interview we did with Mr. Sala about 3 or 4 weeks ago, when I asked him why they wouldn't refute that, as an advocate and pumping himself up quite obviously, he said, because they couldn't find anybody that could refute my guy. They couldn't find anybody. Really? In a state the size of a nation? Like I've said constantly, I'm sure you're tired of hearing this. If somebody called me crazy, you don't think I could find a forensic psychologist in the state of California that would come and refute that? And in a case like this, it's insane. And I'm not trying to, I've been reading these comments and they're attacking H.A. Sala. That's absolutely unfounded and irresponsible and wrong. H.A. Sala did his job. He worked the Attorney General's office. And I think they laid down. I think they absolutely laid down. Again, I don't think they wanted to have anything to do with the prosecution of this case. Then I think Bonta was like, damn, we've got to prosecute this. We can't just walk away from it. But what we can do is we can create a lane for this guy to get out of here. And then we'll It's the old Shakespeare line. He thinks he does protest too much, with Penny saying, "What? What are you doing, Judge?" Well, I'm following the advice of the lone forensic psychologist, Mr. Attorney, and you didn't provide any charges against Wendy Scrivener for the things that you quoted in court, her talking to these grandchildren, and you, Mr. Penny, and your superiors created the charges that provided the out that everyone is incensed about. Again, I caution you, this has nothing to do with Kern County. It really doesn't. I would feel free, despite my debt to Cynthia Zimmer and my own personal situation, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. I got sucker punched in a restaurant here locally about 4 years ago, and I am forever in debt to Cynthia Zimmer, Tristan O'Neill, and many of the members of the investigative team that quickly scooped up the guy that struck me and sent him to jail for 2 years. I will never, ever forget what Cynthia Zimmer has done for me and Tristan O'Neill, who was my advocate at the time. They bent over backwards to help me. But I can't believe in my heart that this thing was just handled badly by the AG's office, clearly. And I believe that there were inappropriate measures that were taken. I stand by my sources that say that Zach was instructed to wash the sheets and to bite his nails down. That's just not something that somebody makes up. And I got it from 3 reliable sources. Again, that sounds like someone with law enforcement experience that would tell you to do something like that. Or again, like I said earlier, maybe I'm just not that bright. Maybe I don't think like a criminal. But to think of that, pretty smart, pretty genius. And I stand by that. But again, there is a school board meeting tonight that Kathy Scrivener is scheduled to attend. I would not bet on it if I you, but it'll certainly be fascinating if, in fact, she does show up. 842-5376 is our phone number, 842-KERN. Well, how much time we got?
I got about a minute.
You got a text message real quick before we get to Mr. Bowers?
Yes. Let's see. Breaking news. William Wright, the Bakersfield attorney who crashed into a parked CHP unit, injuring 2 people, has died before he went to trial.
I saw that on Facebook. KGT17 is reporting that. And speaking of 17, have you seen the shakeup? And I talked to Mr. Trahey today, the news director. He would tell me about it. Tammy Melchak, who I once worked with at Channel 23, is now the noon anchor, along with Elena Rusk. She's still doing the 5 and the 6, but I bet much to Tammy's delight, she is no longer on the 11. And Candy Caceres has become an anchor on the 11. We love Candy. We're excited for her. Congratulations. If in fact you know her, tell her everybody here at AGM congratulates her on that. Quick time out. We head into the 5. We'll talk to Michael Bowers about the life and legacy of Irma Carson.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The state of Minnesota has filed suit against the Trump administration.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison and the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul are jointly suing the Trump administration over the influx of federal immigration agents taking over the Twin Cities. The lawsuit seeks to stop the unprecedented surge of more than 2,000 federal agents deployed by the Department of Homeland Security that has resulted in the killing of a 37-year-old mother and countless claims of civil rights abuses since the Department of Homeland Security forces began taking hold in Minnesota last year. Bill Alexander, Washington.
A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to restore nearly $12 million in pediatrics funding. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The U.S. District Judge said evidence shows the Department of Health and Human Services likely had a retaliatory motive when it ended grants to the American Academy of Pediatrics. The $12 million in funding includes money for rural health care and the early identification of disabilities in young children. Judge Burl Howell wrote that this is a case about whether the federal government has exercised power in a manner designed to chill public health policy debate. HHS has denied allegations of retaliation. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The FBI says that an arson suspect admitted to targeting a historic Mississippi synagogue because it's a Jewish house of worship. Stephen Piven was charged Monday with maliciously damaging or destroying a building by means of fire or an explosive. The weekend fire ripped through the Beth Israel congregation in Jackson shortly after 3 a.m. on Saturday. No congregants or firefighters were injured in the blaze. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 86 points, the NASDAQ rose 62. More at townhall.com.
Everybody loves the season of giving, but now the season of paying for it is upon us. That not so wonderful time of the year when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, stare in horror at the balance, and resolve then and there to find new ways to save money. If you're among those Americans, why not start by cutting your wireless bill in half right now with Pure Talk's Saver plan? It's easy. You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast, nationwide 5G network for just $20 a month. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Ho, ho, ho! And if you're active or former military or a first responder, you'll save an additional 20% every single month. That's pound 250. Say Mike Rowe for the gift that keeps on saving from America's wireless company. Pure.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
A person hit and killed this morning. I'm Chris Davis. That happened at the intersection of South Union Avenue and Garden Drive, says Bakersfield PD. But they are still working on the report, so this is what you get from the cops for now. It happened shortly after 6:15, and the person who was hit has not been identified publicly. As far as how it happened, that info is just not out yet. If you've been following the Maya Hernandez story and were waiting to hear what her sentence would be on the child endangerment charge for which she was convicted last month, you'll have to wait longer. The court this morning said they have not reached a decision on that, nor have they reached a decision on whether she will be retried on her murder charge for the hot car death of her 1-year-old son Emilio, which happened in June. You may remember that that part of her trial ended in a mistrial. Another hearing is scheduled for February 3rd. A man who was shot and killed Sunday morning after a chase by Kern County deputies was reported to have been shooting off a pistol when deputies got to the scene, which was at Kilbreth and Lake Isabella Avenue in Lake Isabella. That's where the guy sped off and was chased first on Highway 178 and then on Highway 155, where the chase ended and he was shot and killed. Deputies haven't said whether he was firing at them when he was shot, and his name has not been made public. If you have had any interactions with Kern County Child Protective Services, the Kern County Department of Human Services would like to hear from you, and they are doing that with several listening sessions. The first one is tonight at 6:15 at the Boys and Girls Club on Niles Street in Bakersfield. 2 are also scheduled for tomorrow, one at 9:30 at the same place and 4:30 at Central Church of Christ in Delano. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this little thing. You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Monday, 12th day of January. It is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1, AM 1180, KERN, where we're streaming live, KERNradio.com. Still got lots to do. We'll talk a little football. We'll get you ready for tonight's game. Why am I blacking out? The Texas... Don't tell me. Houston Texans. Old age is a B.I.H., let me tell you. Going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. We'll preview that, talk a little bit about the weekend games, and tell you what's coming up next weekend. And we've got the horrendous story of Jason Jimenez, the musician who died in a plane crash, and they're telling us that it is pilot error, and the fact that he was on his phone as they were about to take off. I'll explain at the bottom of the hour, and if I have time, we'll talk about that mysterious murder in Columbus, Ohio that I told you about on Friday. The dentist and his wife shot dead in their home with their 4 and 1 year old unscathed, and we now have a suspect. The Monique Tepe and Spencer Tepe were murdered on December 30th, and police now believe that it was Monique Tepe's first husband, whom she divorced in 2017. And it's kind of the old joke where the wife, like days after, slaps her husband for something, and he says, "What took you so long to get angry?" That's very odd. Sheriff Donny Youngblood is texting me. Let me read this real quick before we get to our next guest. I believe we took him to okay. He's saying that the deputies took Zach to Mary Kay Shell. Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate that. In the meantime, I'm sure most, if not all of you, have heard the sad news of the death of Irma Carson, just an absolute legend in this town. As I chronicled earlier in the broadcast, she was the first Black woman to work for City Hall. She was the first Black woman to serve on the city council for 16 years. She's the first Black woman to serve on the police department, rising to sergeant, and just personally was a mentor to me as a young reporter that was bouncing around trying to cover City Hall and City Council and local municipal government. And I will be forever in debt for her. I really will be. And joining us is the man from Centric Health, among other things that he's up to, our good friend Michael Bowers. How are you, Michael?
Ralph Bailey.
What's really going on?
What's going on? You had G. I could hear him from the other office. I was going to go in there, but actually I told him, I called in and asked that question because before we get to talking about Irma Carson, you'll be amazed at a lot of people who really, you've got these technically advanced, these super advanced medications and drugs. You'd be amazed at how many people just can't even access them.
Yeah.
They don't know where to start at. So, Gita's always awesome. But, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah. Happy New Year. How was your New Year? How were the holidays? I heard you were out and about.
I was, believe it or not, I was down in Newport. Some of the family went to Cancun, and I just got back last night from New Orleans, as they say, New Orleans.
Yeah?
So, yes, I was down in the Big Easy, so it was really, really great. Food is great, but New Orleans is not the same. It's changed tremendously now.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has.
Yes.
But we got to talk about Irma Carson. You've known her your entire life. Am I right?
Absolutely. One of the things is that I got to see Irma Carson as a kid. And, one of the things that I love about Irma, as I often say, people can't be what they don't see, Ralph. And people are often expected to play a role they don't get to see people play. And you got to see Irma Carson not only leading from, a civic standpoint, but she was in the community.
Yeah.
And more importantly, one thing I love about Irma, started that Ebony Counseling Center to kind of reunite families and bring people together. And that's one of the things that I loved about Irma, that she always pushed for civic engagement, to get involved, that you had the same vote as a millionaire. You got one vote, and she really championed, I would say, working with everybody. She worked with Alan Tandy. She worked well with Republicans and Democrats. She was, not the Sheila Lee Jackson, but she actually, or the Maxine Waters, but she actually worked with the community to move one forward. And I was honored when I got a chance to serve on the Planning Commission to sit in that same very seat that she legislated from. And I tell you, she has had a tremendous impact, Ralph, on my life in public service. I always say a kid who grew up in Cottonwood later get to walk the halls of Congress. That has Irma Carson's footprint on it, to work in the Senate and to be a staffer in the Assembly. You credit Irma Carson, who was full of class, but more importantly, the historic first in public services that she led is forever etched in the hearts, because I don't think there's ever been another woman that's come behind her.
No.
And except for that attempted but didn't make it, but Stephanie Campbell. But Irma Carson set the standard.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it was her character. I mean, she just simply cared about people. She didn't know me from Adam when I was a knucklehead 30-something-year-old reporter bumping around, handling the city council. And I'll never forget our first encounter where I had screwed something up. It wasn't something that I wrote, but it was something that I was going after. And she said, "You have no clue where you're going, young man. Let me put you in the right direction." And it just absolutely changed my approach and what I was doing with city council. And she had no cause to do that. She just, out of the pure kindness of her heart, put me in the right direction.
When they talk about politics, they talk about statesmen, and they talk about people with class. And one thing that I will really admire and appreciate the life and legacy of Irma Carson is that, she led with she had two things that I think are so indicative in politics. She had the wisdom to listen to her constituents, but she also had the courage to lead. And she did a phenomenal job in leading our city. You never hear anything crazy, controversial about Irma. Irma worked with everybody, from Bill Thomas to specifically get earmarks. I remember when she was working on the Cal Cop project. But she did a lot of different things to bring opportunity and innovative stuff. And our community is better for Irma Carson.
Absolutely.
And like, some politicians, she left gracefully. She left with class, and she still would show up. And I think what's notable, Ralph, look what Cal State Bakersfield did for Irma Carson. Gave her an honorary doctorate degree.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of her last, public appearances. But Irma was a champion of not just black kids, not just white kids. She was a champion of all kids. And that's why I think her legacy will go down unmatched in terms of someone who was the first to lead so many things in our community. Because, as a first black sergeant, you can imagine the calls that she got about people and their babies. So, but she did it with grace and class.
Yeah, absolutely. Why are we talking with Michael Bowers? So many titles I don't even have time to chronicle. But why have we not seen anyone follow in her footsteps? We haven't had an African American on the city council since she left. You mentioned Stephanie Campbell, which is a great example of a woman who really did make a throw of it. But we just haven't seen anyone follow in her footsteps, it seems to me.
Well, you gotta look at it, Ralph. When you go back to the history of Ward 1, look who lived in Ward 1. Like your dad could speak to a lot of these people, but one of the first African American funeral homes that came here from Louisiana was Mr. Dale Ruckert.
Who buried my father.
Yeah.
Who helped for the original situation with my dad. Absolutely.
So Mr. Ruckert came here from the South, and he ran for Congress, and then you had for council. Then you had Vernon Strong, and then you had others, the Anthonys, to come after that. So in Ward 1, you got to, people always say, "Well, where's the black community in Kern County?" I say, "Well, there's no more black community. There's a black gathering. There's no black community." But Ward 1, the Vernon Strongs lived there. And you had educated, successful people that were doctors, Dr. Fox, and you had them, Dr. Fox had his practice right there on Brundage. So a lot of them lived in Ward 1, and they were affluent. Dr. Fred Haynes, until he passed, lived there. Who notably gave me my whooping. My dad encouraged it. But you had prominent African Americans that lived in that area, and, unfortunately, they moved, and then so that shrunk down the votes in that particular area, and it opened up, and of course the district and the makeup changed, and so I don't think that you had anyone that could, win Seven Oaks, who was, progressive.
Yeah.
And Bonita has tried, and others have come on, but it opened the door for me to go to Congress, it opened up a door for me to not only sit on the city planning commission, but also to sit on the county civil service commission. So, you know, and who knows, we may see Bailey for Senate here soon. So there's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah. There should be a statue of Irma Carson at City Hall, in my opinion. I really do believe that.
Absolutely. And I think that the city, you know, once things are done, should start the framework for Irma Carson. And when I say start the framework, of not just naming a street, but put a name on a building.
Yeah.
So in 100 years, people will say, well, who is this person? But it'll also highlight, sometimes, you know, we get castigated in Kern County, but she defied those odds, and she showed that working with people that don't vote like you and look like you, you can, you know, she's the Mary Kay Shell era, and the Bob Price, all of these people who really helped shape Bakersfield. And so it's an incredible loss for our community. You know, I don't know if the city has, you know, put flags at half staff. I think they should do that.
Absolutely.
But she has done an incredible job, and I know we got to run, but you know, her family released her official service, of course, Friday, January 23rd, Ralph.
Okay.
She will lie in state from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. You know, it'll be a community tribute starting at 5:30 at Kane. African Methodist Episcopal. There's a word there. Of course, that's on California Avenue, 630 California Avenue. Then Saturday, January 24th, her official homegoing service starts at 10 a.m. at St. John Missionary Baptist Church with the former pastor Tyree Tolliver. So there'll be quite a few events leading up to her service. But I thank you for taking the time, Ralph, to just to honor the life, the legacy of a woman who
was a legend. Absolute legend.
Yep.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. Always great to talk to you. Don't be such a stranger. I appreciate you taking the time.
Always a pleasure. Tasty Steakhouse this week, my brother.
All right, let's do it. Love you, Pop.
Let's do it. Love you.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Michael Bowers. He was the one that asked the question with Cheat. That's funny. That was a great question. The access to Ozempic and Manjaro and Wegovy and all these new drugs that are absolute game changers, and no bigger game changer in this community than Irma Carson. And I truly believe there should be a statue, or he's right, a building in her honor, not just a street, but a building, a structure, or a statue right in front of City Hall or right in front of the council chambers. Let's take a break. We won't have a lot of time before we get to the bottom of the hour. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, California is officially clear of drought status. And we will talk to the person best qualified to comment on that, Lois Henry. We'll have the latest on the Zach Scribner petition. We'll have state-of-the-art news and traffic. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You know, oddly, one of the things that I rarely talk about when I talk about Casey Steakhouse is lunch. You work downtown, if you work for the county or wherever on Truxton, it's not very far, and it's real quick, and it's very convenient, and the menu is similar, just smaller portions, and it is outstanding. And the variety on the menu that Chef Daniel has put together now is simply unbelievable. It's mostly a large groups coming to Casey Steakhouse. Not everybody's feeling red meat to celebrate someone's birthday or an anniversary or whatever the event may be. And that's why Chef Daniel has advanced the menu. So there's Italian food, I love
Did you
the
see the play
fettuccine
they
alfredo with
called up
chicken,
on the last
the
one?
lobster mac and cheese,
Where they
is
took the two
everybody's
ends,
favorite.
they ran
The fish
ups,
dishes, the mahi
and
mahi,
then the
the
one guy ran in
swordfish,
the
the
middle of the field
halibut.
in the triple
Where
cover,
would you rather
and he
be
threw
than
it in
on
the
F
12
Street? And don't forget about the stockyard next door for meetings, banquets, or just having
Average.
dinner and
They
having some
threw
of the
for
craft
20 or
cocktails that are served
35
next door. It's
for
Casey's Steakhouse,
168 yards.
longtime sponsors of
That's
the
like
Ralph
7
Bailey
yards
Show.
a pop. Carpet outlet. Dude, you got every day is sale day.
No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices.
Oh, really?
Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Carpet Outlet Plus is celebrating 30 years in business by offering you no interest financing for 12 months. Head over to carpetoutletplus.com to apply now. You can get new waterproof flooring and comfy carpet in the bedrooms, all from one trusted place. Over 70,000 customers can't be wrong. It's probably been time to change your floors for a while, so call, click, or stop by today. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Sniffles and sneezes got you down? GoodRx is here to help with big savings on commonly prescribed cold and flu meds. GoodRx is free and easy to use. GoodRx is accepted at all major pharmacies like CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens. Just search your prescription, find a coupon, then show your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx is not insurance, but it works whether you have insurance or not. If you do, GoodRx may beat your copay price. Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com to save today.
Hey, I'm Mike
What's
Slater.
for
My dad
dinner
passed away at the age
tonight?
of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife, and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on
he's
News
supposed to
Talk
sign paper
96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Mountain, fire, on a mountain.
One of the privileges of going to high school with a bunch of white kids. I was a big Grateful Dead kid growing up. I really was. I've told you my story where I mistimed my drugs, my marijuana, and I think we were drinking Mickey Big Mouths. It was at UCLA, and we got there about 4 o'clock. This is back in the day when they had, what is it called again, Chris, where you first come, first serve? Starts with a C. What's that called? Something seating, where it's the first person that gets there gets the first seat. And they got rid of it because I believe it was at a Who concert in Cincinnati. A woman got stampeded to death, and they cut that out. They ended that like in the late 80s, I think, mid 80s. But it's just, there's a term for it where we got there at about 4 o'clock. It was about an 7:30 start. We got there about 4 o'clock to get the first seats and started smoking weed and drinking Mickey Big Mouths. And 17-year-old Ralph Bailey was out like a light by 7 o'clock, and I never saw the concert. Never saw the concert. Spent $45 on those tickets. Out like a light. 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got on the board?
I'm just seeing general admission for that, by the way.
No, what is the term? Hey, Siri.
I know we've talked about this.
I know we have. What was it called when it was first come, first served at concerts?
Okay, I found this on the web for I know what was it called when it was first come, first serve at concerts. Check it out.
I will check it out. Stand by. In live entertainment, there were several possible schemes for seating assignments. Spectators, there are several schemes, most of reserved general admission. It doesn't say. I forget. Somebody will text us. Some old person will text us who remembers. It starts with a C. Convention seating or conference sitting or... Come on, somebody help me out. Help out an old man. 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got?
I'm seeing festival seating coming through.
Is it festival seating? Is that what it was called?
Well, festival seating is a term for it as well now, but that's more of like just people come and just pool together. That's more of a festival seating.
No, I'm pretty sure it started with a C. And it was just the first in line, got the best tickets. And then, like I said, I think it was a Who concert. I know it was in Cincinnati, where a woman was stampeded to death, essentially, because they opened the doors and the kids just, sprinted to their seats, and a woman was stampeded to death, and they put the kibosh on that. What else you got on the board?
Why are we talking about wanting Greenland and China wanting Greenland and Russia wanting Greenland like it's a free agent up for bid? It is already part of another country, another sovereign country, and ally of ours that we shouldn't be threatening with silly ideas like this.
Well, I don't think it's a silly idea. The mineral rights, and as Kathy chronicled, some of the other advantages, the trillions of dollars in oil and gas. And do you think that's something that we should allow the Chinese or Russia to manipulate? I don't think it's this. I think this is a significant issue. Now, I don't believe when the Trump administration says that it's for defense and all this. No, it's about the oil and gas and those mineral rights and our ability to keep them out of the hands of the Chinese. To me, they are our arch enemy. And they're very, very, very clever about it. Xi keeps him to himself. He smiles when he meets the president, blah, blah, blah. Meantime, he's playing us off with Russia. He's playing us off with Venezuela. They suddenly becomes pals with Cuba, the Iranian situation. I mean, it's called geopolitical situation, and we have to deal with it. And I think that we have to be, as I talk about with Kathy, we have to be concerned with anything that the Chinese are concerned about. And we've done a horrible job in investing in Africa, as they have. And, anything they've got their eyeballs on, if we're going to compete, we have to be concerned with it. If you ask me, that's just my simple answer to it. One more. Let's get to the bottom of the hour.
The U.S. already has the right to build bases all over Greenland. Denmark is protected under NATO. There is no need for Trump to take it for the U.S. It sets a really dangerous precedent for us. We don't live in an age of territorial expansion, not if you live in a democracy.
Well, that's really? So we've never, as a democracy, been involved with territorial expansion? Really? I mean, you can go back to the 18th century with the territorial expansion of North America. Little something we learned in 10th grade, called it the Louisiana Purchase. And you need to go back and read the Monroe Doctrine. I mean, we are not involved in colonialism any longer, but to say because we're a democracy that we're not into territorial expansion is a bit silly. We head into the final half hour of the broadcast on this Monday. It's TRBS. I would stick around if I you.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SON News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A bipartisan U.S. congressional delegation is headed to Copenhagen later this week to show unity with Denmark amid tensions over Greenland. Senator Chris Coons is leading the trip, which includes at least 9 members of Congress. They plan to meet with Danish and Greenlandic officials on Friday and Saturday. The state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul are suing the federal government to stop an enforcement surge by Immigration and Customs Enforcement following the fatal shooting of a Minneapolis woman by an ICE officer. The state and cities filed a lawsuit in federal court today. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 86 points, the NASDAQ rose 62, the S&P advanced 11. More details at SLAnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. A person who was walking near the intersection of South Union Avenue and Garden Drive was hit by a car and killed around 6:15 this morning, say Bakersfield police. That person's name has not been made public. A decision on whether Maya Hernandez will be retried on a murder charge in the hot car death of her son Emilio was supposed to be announced today, but it has been put off by the court with another hearing set for February 3rd. Hernandez was also supposed to be sentenced this morning on the child endangerment charge, which was not affected by her mistrial, but that sentencing was also put off for now. Keeping a watch on the gas prices. The state average is now $4.15 per gallon of regular, says Gas Buddy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Tuesday edition of the First Look program, California is officially clear of drought status. And we will talk to the person best qualified to comment on that, Lois Henry. We'll have the latest on the Zach Scribner petition. We'll have state-of-the-art news and traffic. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Right now, discover that you are the song at the morning. The heart has its seasons, its evenings, its songs of its own.
A tribute to the great Grateful Dead. Their leader, Bob Weir, passed away over the weekend. Speaking of passing away, I'm sure you've heard the story. I don't know. Do you know this guy, Jason Jimenez? I had never heard of him, but apparently he's an international star out of Colombia, I believe. And beyond there are a couple of factors that makes his death a story. There's several videos, like you heard me say this many, many times. It's the 21st century. As soon as you take your key out of your, excuse me, I got enough gas to drive me home. As soon as you take your key out of the front door, you're on your own Ring camera, and then by the time you walk to your car, you're on other folks' Ring camera. You're on camera just about the entire rest of your day. In fact, the murder case that we talked about with the dentist and his wife who were murdered in their home, and there was some mystery because it seemed to be some random shooting. It was surveillance video that caught her ex-husband, who drove from Rockford, Illinois to Columbus, Ohio to shoot his ex-wife and her dentist husband. And the peculiar thing about that is that Michael McKee, the vascular surgeon who has been arrested in the murder, who drove from Rockford, Illinois, all the way 400 miles to Columbus, Ohio to commit this murder, vascular surgeon, and hasn't seen his wife in 8-9 years. They divorced in 2017. And they were only married for 2 years. And it just goes to show you that, to be honest with you, I don't know what it shows you. That a guy could lose his wife 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, and all of a sudden just say, screw it. I'm taking my 9mm, I'm jumping in the car, I'm driving 400 miles, and I'm taking her out. And sneaks into this home, and with their 4 and 1 year old, snuffs out the husband and the wife. Like, what? We have a pandemic. We have a pandemic, and it ain't influenza, although it is, and it ain't COVID, although it is, but the pandemic is mental health. That a 39-year-old vascular surgeon who hadn't seen his wife in 8 years would jump in a car premeditatively and drive 400 miles to sneak in the home of his ex-wife to shoot she, and her husband in their sleep. I don't even think a psychologist could figure this out. But the other story, as I mentioned, was Jason Jimenez. And what makes it a story is the fact that there's video of the aborted takeoff where they're in this private plane and they get maybe 20, 30 seconds into the flight, and all of a sudden it just bears right and explodes, with all that gasoline. They're taking off, so it's filled with gasoline, and it's a ball of flames. And the other part of the story that makes it fascinating is this kid, much like Richie Valens, who died the day the music died with Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper back in the 1950s. Richie Valens, a kid out of San Fernando, down in LA, dreamt of dying in a plane crash as well. So did Jason Jimenez.
I dreamed 3 times that we were going to have a plane accident and that I had to tell the pilot to go give it a once over. And when he would come back, he would tell me, "Phew, boss, good thing you told me because something failed on me, but I already fixed it. Get on." Those were the dreams. And in one of the dreams, I did dream that we had died and that we made the news. It was already the 3rd time I dreamed about that. And I dreamed 3 times.
See, that's crazy. And the fact that he dreamt that there was something wrong with the plane and he brought it to the attention of the pilot and they aborted the flight makes it even creepier and even more eerie. Because according to experts, again, as I said at the top of the show, the artist had a videographer that followed him everywhere and chronicled his life. In fact, there's video of Jason Jimenez on that flight before they took off. But the videographer was also in the cockpit. And there is video of the pilot on his phone as they're going down the runway, not on the takeoff, but as they are taxiing to the runway that would lead to the takeoff. And I'm no pilot, and neither are the experts that chronicle this, because there's several that you'll see if you watch reels, if you're paying attention on Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. But apparently there was some kind of warning light that was on that every pilot, according to the experts that I heard today, would say you would never take off with that red light telling you there's an issue. But they believe, because of the fact that he's videotaped on his phone prior to the takeoff, they speculate that's why he ignored the warning. And it's had something to do with the propeller, I believe. And this thing never had a chance. I mean, it got off the ground. It looked normal for about 10 seconds. And then it just veers hard left and rams into the ground in a ball of flames. It's just a horrendous story. It really, really is. And the other bizarre story is out of Hollywood, and that is this story about Timothy Busfield. Great actor. I have admired this guy. I first remember watching him, and many of you older folk like me may remember a great series on ABC in the I'm guessing the 80s. Yeah, the 80s. I don't think I watched it in high school. I think I was a college kid or a young adult at the time, called 30 something. And it was about a bunch of fairly affluent white couples. I think there were about 3 or 4 couples depicted on the program, and he was one of them. And just the trials and tribulations of starting to get older. You know, Chris Burdick will tell you about it. There's a big difference between 26, 27, and then when you start to get in your 30s, it is all down.
Oh, trust me, I had one of those moments this weekend. It was rough.
Why? What happened?
So I explained this on JR show as well, but when I went out of town, because I did go to the San Luis Obispo area to visit some friends, they took me to this place where I was unaware we were going hiking, but not only hiking, but we were going to be doing a little bit of a cliff scaling, as it were, to get down to an area. I'll show you pictures and video, and you'll understand why when I show it to you. But it's not like we did anything like crazy dangerous or anything like that, but it is a type of workout that I have not had in quite some time, and my legs right now hurt.
Yeah. It's all, and so that's what the show was about, dealing with the beginning, the very, very infancy of growing old. You're still a very young man in your 30s, don't get me wrong, but it's the beginning, because for me, it was right around 40 when I began to realize, I can't do that anymore. I can't play basketball at 9 o'clock in the morning after hanging out all Friday night like I used to when I was in my 20s. Man, I remember I used to play basketball at Little Marymount every Saturday morning. And of course, as a kid in my 20s, I was going out on Friday nights till 1, 2 in the morning back in those days when we would close places. And I remember one morning I'm playing and they're like, dude, I was having a good day. Just having a good day, shooting well and scoring. And the guy asked my opponents asked the guy that was guarding me, dude, are you going to cover this guy? And he goes, I can't get close to him. He smells like booze. I smelled like liquor from the night before, but it didn't stop me from playing. And then once you start to get into your 30s and your 40s, you can't pull that off anymore, Jack. And that's what the show was about, to make a long story short. And then younger folks may remember Timothy Busfield from The West Wing. He was kind of an outside character. He played a reporter who was, remember Allison Janney, I believe her name was, played the press secretary. And they always had a contentious relationship because they were friends. In fact, at one point, I think they started dating on the program. And it was always a fight, what she could tell him and what he wanted to confirm when he knew something, and she don't tell him. Anyway, redheaded actor, really nice guy. I always admired him. And now he is embroiled in allegations of sexual abuse of young men. And he is married to a girl that I went to high school with, Melissa Gilbert, who you may remember. Well, what's up?
Sorry, I was going to let you know I have this.
You have the audio?
Yeah, you sent it.
Okay, I did send it to you? Okay, good. Melissa Gilbert, who I went to high school with, didn't see much of her because she was on Little House on the Prairie at the time. But she is somehow, as you'll hear in this audio, may be involved a little bit. Here it is.
A new and shocking detail has emerged in this high-profile Hollywood investigation. In the case involving actor and director Timothy Busfield, who is now facing child sexual abuse and child abuse charges with an arrest warrant already issued, court documents have revealed another significant layer. According to official records, Busfield's wife, actress Melissa Gilbert, was present on speakerphone during a police interview. The interview took place on November 3rd, 2025, with an Albuquerque Police Department detective, while Busfield was in New York. Investigators say Busfield himself disclosed that the call was on speaker and that Melissa Gilbert was listening to the conversation. During the call, Busfield discussed his relationships with 2 alleged 11-year-old victims and their families. Topics reportedly included offset interactions, holiday gift-giving, social gatherings, and personal contact. The investigation began in November 2024 after police became involved following a hospital report. The 68-year-old Busfield is accused of inappropriate conduct involving 2 minors he allegedly met while working as a director on the TV series The Cleaning Lady. The affidavit is drawing particular attention because it specifically notes that Melissa Gilbert was present during the interview, a detail considered unusual in such investigations. Public scrutiny has also increased over how much Gilbert may have known about the investigation before the arrest warrant was issued on January 9, 2026. According to the warrant, the alleged incidents occurred between late 2022 and spring 2024. So far, neither Timothy Busfield nor Melissa Gilbert's representatives have released any public statements. This new revelation adds further complexity to an already disturbing and closely watched case. A respected television figure, serious criminal allegations, and now the reported presence of a spouse during a police interview have pushed this investigation into even deeper public and legal scrutiny. Authorities say the investigation and legal proceedings are ongoing, and accountability will be pursued.
You see some slight parallel with the Scrivener situation, where a loved one gets involved and tries to hide the crimes. But when it's pedophilia, even if it's your son, even if it's your husband, how in the world do you defend them from that? Because I'm telling you, and I mean this sincerely, I can get on the phone right now. I grew up with parents who told me quite vehemently, vociferously, full-throatedly, you get involved with the cops, don't call us. You got to work it out your damn self, brother. We're not going to defend you. We're not going to protect you. You are on your own. And obviously, they didn't mean that literally. If they felt that I had been wrong, my parents would have come to my defense. But the point that they were trying to make is, don't think we're going to be your safety net if you've committed a crime and you're guilty. And I just don't understand how anyone, whether it's your son, your brother, your husband, there's just a certain bar that has to exist. And for me, it's robbery. Like, there's certain crimes, people make mistakes. I've committed crimes, and I've been forgiven by many, many folks. Some folks like to use it against me. I understand that, despite the fact that now it's going on 20 years since I've committed a crime, but I've committed a crime. I really have, as many of you know, and got no solace from my mother when she just talked about it. She was befuddled. We didn't raise you like this. How could you be so incredibly stupid? You know, my mother wasn't looking for an out. She talked to me like I was 12 years old. You know, who I don't even know who you are right now. What's wrong with what's going on with you? That's the discussion I had with my mother after that incident. Like, something's going on with you, Ralph, to be that incredibly stupid. And how people come to the defense of people that make heinous, stupid errors in their lives, I just will never understand. And it'll be fascinating, absolutely fascinating, to find out what happens at tonight's school board meeting, which Kathy Scrivener is expected to attend. But again, if I had to put the $92 I have in my checking account on a bet, I bet she ain't going to show up, because I bet it's going to be packed. I could be wrong, and maybe they don't ask her about the Scrivener situation, but I got $92 says that she does. They do. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the night, and when we come back, we'll check the board one final time. Tomorrow's a Tuesday. Teresa Goldner returns, and I booked somebody else. Chris Burdick, who did I book for tomorrow?
This is a good question. I wasn't here Friday, so I'm not sure.
I'll figure it out when we come back. I'll tell you who's going to join the program. Because right now I have absolutely no idea. No idea. No, it ain't coming to me.
Local event?
No.
Talking head about Scrivener?
No.
Talking head about potentially the man who passed away before his hearing that we were talking about earlier, the attorney?
No. I'll come up with it. I think I wrote it down somewhere. Old age, folks. Old age and THC, my friends. Quick time out. Final break of the night. Keep it locked on the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 AM 1180 KRN, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KER.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, look at my booty. Did you all get to see my booty? Showing off my booty there a little bit. Sorry about that. You ready? 3, 2. So once again, we have more questions for the Attorney General's office because Sheriff Donny Youngblood quoted from deputy's body cam, Kathy Scrivener, instructing specifically her grandchildren not to speak to authorities. So why didn't the AG charge her, and why did they provide a lane for mental diversion for Zach Scrivener? 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Tuesday TRBS. Well, it's a Tuesday. Our former federal magistrate Judge Teresa Golder will join us. Plus, our good friend Nick Ragone will talk about Brooks Koepka and others trying to get out of LIV and join the PGA Tour and new rules on the Professional Golf Association Tour. All that and me at 3. It's TRBS. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3.
They let Brooks back in today, by the way.
That's what we're going to talk about. And there are 3 others that are trying to apply.
Right.
But they're giving them like 6 months to do so, and they got to pay a fine. And there are 6 new rules on the PGA Tour. They still didn't change the divot rule, which I just don't understand. Where if you hit your ball into a divot, you've got to play it where it lies, which makes absolutely no freaking sense. No sense whatsoever. You hit it right down the middle, and now you're in a hole. And they think that's golf. That's stupid.
Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Our last tribute to the Grateful Dead in the wake of the death of Bob Weir, the leader, the man that put them together. I might talk a little bit more about them tomorrow. But in the meantime, let's read a couple of text messages and go watch football.
Ralph, you should see Mrs. Good's arrest record. She was apparently arrested and charged with her wife for child abuse and putting out cigarettes on the child's body.
Yeah, that's why she lost. She has 3 children, and she lost custody of the first 2 kids, which is rare, as most of you know. 8, maybe 9 times out of 10, the mom gets custody? No. And the idea that she's this innocent mother who just dropped her kids off that day is just absolutely a lie being perpetrated by the Democrats, because she was an active member of a group called Ice Watch. And the thing that makes this despicable is the idea that you can block streets. That's not, one of the things about the civil rights movement and what made it so extraordinary is obviously Dr. King following in the footsteps of Gandhi and civil disobedience. But civil disobedience didn't mean break the law. It meant break the laws that you're trying to change, i.e., sitting in a department store deli counter where it's white only. It's not just committing crimes. That's not civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is not disrupting police authorities, law enforcement authorities on different activities, like going after a child molester, because that's exactly who those ICE agents, including Jonathan Roth, the man who shot her, were targeting. It was a targeted attempt in Minneapolis to find a pretty despicable human being, and that's who the Democrats feel good about defending. And the other point that is significant, I really didn't want to talk about this today, but where were all the tears? Did you see Jasmine Crockett crying during a congressional committee? This cartoon character literally started crying about the humanity, the lack of humanity that Republicans are showing. Well, where were you, Jasmine Crockett, and every other liberal when that young Ukrainian woman down in North Carolina got her throat cut trying to go home from work? Where were you, Jasmine Crockett, when that woman was trying to go home, I believe in New York, and had an illegal immigrant throw gasoline on her and set her on fire? Where were you when Laken Riley died? Did we ever hear any tears from the Democrats? Did we even hear any empathy for any one of those people? Or Charlie Kirk, for that matter? In fact, we know that when Charlie Kirk died, they almost celebrated. In fact, there were liberals, maybe not elected officials, but there were people that celebrated. And remember the tete-a-tete I got into with local attorney David Torres, a guy that I admired, a guy that I liked. We don't get along very well now since that rumpus, where hours after Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck, Mr. Torres went on Facebook and chronicled all the horrible things that Charlie Kirk had always said. And as I pointed out at that day, I didn't agree with a lot of the things that Charlie Kirk said. But to bring that up hours after a man his body is literally not even cold yet. And yet they'll go on a nationally televised award show and give us crocodile tears for a woman who disobeyed the law and create a narrative. Well, he wasn't even hit by the car. Oh, wait. Well, he was hit by the car, but it was like a bump, like opening up your refrigerator. That's what the idiot Minneapolis mayor said. Unbelievable. It really, truly is. Again, tomorrow, Teresa Golder and Nick Ragone on Brooks Koepka, leaving LIV and coming to the PGA, and a couple other fellas trying to get in. We'll explain how that works, and there are new rules for my fellow golfers. In the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. I will rap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says the Department of Justice has served the central bank with subpoenas and threatened it with a criminal indictment over his testimony this summer about the Fed's building renovations. Powell said this move is in response to the agency not caving into the Trump administration's push to cut key interest rates.
The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president.
Let's do this.
This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure.
This is so badly written. This is so badly written, I'm just going to read it as it is. I'm not even going to try to ad-lib it. I'm really not. Is it a 60? But with that disclaimer, though, huh?
Shoot for like 45.
Yeah. I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, 48, 50 in that area, I'm happy with it.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2. It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. It's a new year, so why not get into the new Subaru that you put off on 2025? And just because it's a new year doesn't mean the guys over at Sangera Subaru have slowed down. No, no, no. So if an SUV is what you're being leaning, God damn it. 3, 2. It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. You know, it's a new year, so why not get into a new Subaru that you put off on 2025? And just because it's a new year doesn't mean the guys over at Sangera Subaru have slowed down. No, no, no. So if an SUV is what you've been leaning towards, then how about leasing a 2025 Outback Premium CVT for only $229 a month for 36 months and just $4,800 due at signing? Let me say that again. $229 a month for a brand new Outback. And the offer ends February 2nd. So stop by and see my good friends Damon Culbertson and Hassan Levy. Pick out your new Outback and hit the road. And remember, every Subaru comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community. 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersfield Auto Mall. How was the time? Did you even look? I don't think that was 50. It was 50? Oh, sweet. I'm out. I am out of here. I always forget to take my mic off when I do these things. Hope you guys enjoy listening to me do spots. Yeah. All right. Go home and eat my chicken. Oh, yeah. See you guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow. I probably shouldn't do those spots with this. Mic on. Because I did say it was badly written. But it is what it is. I'm guessing over 200. What are you guessing?
Did you get 200 last week?